For those of you here in the paddock and for those of you tuning in live all around the world, welcome to Pittsburgh International Race Complex, host of the 2024 Cup Cars North America Summer Nationals. Morning warm-ups are getting underway, and again, our free coverage will bring you all the practice sessions from the morning as well as qualifying, and we'll go through into 2 full rounds of heat races later on this afternoon. My name's Xander Clemens. Joining me in the booth will be, of course, the legendary Dave Mack and Tony the Toe Cirillo as the day rolls on. For now, we'll let you enjoy the sounds of the Briggs & Stratton LO206 power plants as we roll through these morning round of warm-up sessions and continue to get dialed in for what should be a hot day of racing for the Summer Nationals from Pittsburgh.
At Precision Performance Karting and Brandon Jarthacrack Racing, developing winners is what we do. We're a complete karting program with support, driver coaching, parts, and arrive and drive packages at all levels. Trackhouse, Motorplex Karting Challenge, club races, the CKNA South Division, the CKNA Majors, and a complete in-house ladder program with the BJR to move from 206 club racing to the highest levels of KA and X30 competition in the U.S. If you're ready to learn from industry veteran John Seglin and multi-time U.S. Pro Kart Series champion Brandon Jarthacrack, head over to ppkartingfl.com and contact us today.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Kart Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Kart Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit kartclass.com to get your track information.
Okay, here we are at Pitt International Raceway for the first time in CKNA history. Summer Nationals here right at Pitt Raceway near Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Formerly known as Beaver Run back in the day, but right now Pitt Race International. Practice sessions going on, and I'm here with Dave Mack, the official announcer of CKNA. This is Tony the Toe Cirillo. Looking at the screen, seeing how things are going. We got great. The weather is hot but dry. Conditions, I think, are pretty good on the track, but the heat definitely can change things. And we're going today with, 8-lap races?
We are, I'm a little loud. There we go. We are, you are correct, 8 laps. I'm going to turn my headset down here. We're just testing. Okay, yes, we are 8 laps. 2 heat races, 8 laps each today. And that will start about 12:45 p.m. with the juniors. We are currently in warm-up session. We're
right.
Warm-up session. This is a senior medium class, Group A. So senior medium there were so many entries, we had to split it into Group A and Group B. And this is Group A, the first half of the senior medium out on the track right now.
Right. We have a lot of senior mediums, a lot of senior lights, right, Dave? We got a lot of carts here that we're splitting up the warm-up sessions and also the time trials.
Yep, the warm-up sessions, we split juniors, senior medium, and senior light. You are correct.
Right.
During qualifying, which is coming up later on this afternoon, we'll split the juniors in half, just like we did for warm-ups. The senior lights, we have to split in thirds. We have so many.
Right.
And the senior medium, we have to split in thirds. So that'll be a little bit different. That's only for the warm-ups and the qualifying. After that, when we get to the heat races, we're going to split them actually in heat race 1 and heat race 2 also today. And the features will be tomorrow. Sunday is the big day.
Okay, yes. So once again, this is the first Cup Karts North America 2024 Summer Nationals here at Pittsburgh International Raceway, June 22nd, Saturday. This is the first day. This is qualifying. We'll have the RLV qualifying session coming up, like Dave said. Then we'll go into our 2 heat, qualifiers. And then tomorrow will be our features, and that's how they'll run it. So right now, today, Saturday, June 22nd, 2024, here at the Pittsburgh International Raceway, Cup Karts North America 2024 season. Here we are with Kart Chaser. We want to thank Kart Chaser, Doc Barron, and helping us get Kart Chaser. This is a very important race. It is a national race with CKNA. They've had a winter national, a grand national, and then they put in a spring national a couple years back. And this year in 2024, they went to a summer national. So we got all the seasons covered, Dave.
Yeah, we finally covered it this year. You are correct, Tony, yeah. So this is Summer Nationals, and it is hot and humid here.
Yeah.
It's like I was watching the morning news this morning, Tony, and they were saying this is for this location, for this week, this is the worst weather they've had since the 1960s.
Wow.
Combination of heat and humidity today. So, yeah, everybody's feeling it, and everybody's, drinking plenty of water and just trying to stay good. But, yeah,
there's going to be some really good racing here today, and the amount of karters that are here, the amount of things that are represented here with chassis and engines and pit crews. This is a big race. CKNA has brought the 206 to that level that, we say 206 a great place for people to start out in karting, and it is a great local program that I tell all tracks you should definitely have a 206 program at your track. This is how you get new people into the sport. CKA came along and gave these people one more step up where they can go and find out how good they are. The tech is excellent. It keeps everybody fair. And as the tech people always tell me here at CKNA, we're not doing it to throw somebody out. We're just doing it to prove that the person that won or the top 5 podium finishers are legit. And if you're running 20th here today, you know how much faster you can get, that these things can do for you once you get everything tuned up right. So we thank Briggs & Stratton for that 206 program. And you just tell by the numbers here, I think we're around 250 karts, somewhere in that vicinity, maybe a little bit more. But that's what turned out. And this gives these karters a chance. And even karters that haven't been racing that long. It gives them a chance to be with some of the top drivers in North America. And let me tell you, I'm looking at names down here that are registered, and we'll get into it once they start racing. But there's some top drivers here from all sections, including Canada. I see somebody registered from California.
Yep.
I mean, we have the top 206 racers. And
by the way, that Tony, that one you're talking about from California, I talked to them. They drove, they hauled all the way,
Wow.
they hauled their trailer all the way. So I'm very impressed with them.
And that's the other thing CKNA did. I mean, it offered this part of the of North America, Canada as well. Like I said, a series that 206 racers can check out their skills and see what they can do to get better, to watch the fast people here today and to see what they're doing, what makes them so fast. And it's a little bit of everything. I mean, the motors are pretty much the same. All right, you can, there's always a little difference here and there. The gear is very important. Tire pressures are very important, and of course the driver.
And let's explain that, Tony, in case somebody doesn't know CKNA. Every one of these drivers are running the same engine. It's a Briggs & Stratton 206cc purpose-built racing motor just for kart racing, four-stroke kart racing. You can make changes, and of course, there's similar to everybody knows NASCAR restrictor plates. You've been hearing for years. They have similar restrictors for the kids and whatnot. But from the 5-year-old to the 75-year-old, they're running the same engine.
Right.
So
same fuel.
Yeah.
We check the fuel, and that's something the karter should know. Fuel checking is available all the time. We don't want to see anybody get bounced for having bad fuel or thinking they could put something in their fuel. So I encourage all drivers when they come off the scales to pass by tech, let them drop the checker in their tank to make sure they're legit. So it really makes things fair. And CKNA and Briggs & Stratton is here today, by the way.
Okay.
They are here with their people. And so if anybody has any questions about Briggs & Stratton, anything they want to know about the engine, the 206, they actually have an engine cut in half so you could see all the working parts. They're right here in the pits, so CKNA is well represented. And so are so many other kart manufacturers, engine builders, all the people are here. This is a national race.
Yep, it's SummerNats. SummerNats, brand new, just like you said, Tony.
Oh, well, good morning to you, boys. Happy to join you as well over here on the microphone. My first CKNA National of the year. Let's talk about specifically the class that just came off the racetrack and their second group that's getting ready to go out as well here with senior medium. Now, what was so cool that, Dave, I know you saw this on Facebook as well. I'm not sure if you saw it, Tony, but Race Select, our official registration partner led by Keith Warren, has been keeping track of the data. Keith's a big statistician. He loves seeing all the data come in, monitoring the entries, trying to predict and forecast. But also, what he has been tracking is the results of all the racers that have registered across any Race Select event, whether it's a 2-stroke race, a 4-stroke race, a regional, a club to a national, all the races that he has been doing, he has been keeping track of their results and basically has built an algorithm very similar to what the young kids like myself know from iRacing, that is a skill-based ranking system that has been able to basically predict the strength of field because, again, we have labels for our races, right? Just like you were mentioning, regional, club, national. But, to really decide, well, is this a bigger or better race than, say, the Spring Nats? Is this a bigger or harder race than the Grands? You can tell by total entries, yes, the Grands was bigger. Yeah. Yes, this year Charlotte was massive. Massive. Absolutely massive. Over 500 pre-entries, just shy after a couple washouts for cancellations. We're not as big here, but when you measure the depth of field, the number of superstars that have those results, typically that has been the medium class. But this weekend, by just a hair, just a couple points, the light class has measured off of the stats as a slightly stronger class. Realistically, we've known the light class, all the classes have been competitive without a doubt, and a lot of the medium guys are in light. A lot of medium guys also run heavy. A couple crazy guys like Owen Lloyd decide to run the triple and run all three and make sure that we have to be very careful with the schedules and Greg and everyone to make sure he can get back to his pit and get over to the next go-kart. But basically, we've got a doubleheader main event headline class, 2 classes that are almost equally weighted with, as Keith put it online, the highest single race ranking score of drivers in the history of Race Select. That is super exciting to have at the debut of the Summer Nationals.
Right, and that's what I was saying. This is a national race. It has brought out the top 206 drivers, and some of them are more than 206 drivers, but I'm saying for as far as 206 is concerned, it has brought out the top 206 drivers, and that was a great post by Race Select when he put those statistics out there, and I saw that, and I said, wow. And then, you know, I kind of added to that post and just said it's going to be hot there, so the competition is really going to be on fire here, and the best are here. And even though, like you said, Sander, that there was like 500 at the Spring Nationals, we got 250, around 250 here at the Summer National, but the top races are here.
The top races are absolutely here. Now, the A and B groups here, this was off registration, so rather than what we'll probably see in qualifying with the slow versus fast groups, and it will inevitably get quicker, we had a pretty mixed bag of superstars in that first group that went out for warm-up, and then the other half on the racetrack for Group B right now. So in the Group A warm-up, Dylan Amundsen was quickest on his MGM at a 62.77, so that's our time to beat, or our benchmark for the Group B drivers. Caleb Gaffera, his first full year back in four-stroke stuff. He had done a lot of local racing in 206 Cadet back when he was in Mini, and then he had focused all of his efforts working up the two-stroke ladder, working into Formula cars, and he's been doing some Legends car racing at the Summer Shootout. He's been driving everything that's got four wheels on it, and he's one of many superstars on the MGM crowd as well. Owen Lloyd ended third, Lucas Van Kuren fourth, and Anthony DeCesaro, who is one of the local pit race drivers here, into the top five at the end of Senior Medium Warm-Up A, but again, a 62.77 was the quick time there, and already that's been beaten. Henry Wheeler, the number 0, at a 62.59. So this second group, and what does that tell us? Obviously, Tony and Dave, as seasoned racers, that the track is only getting quicker and quicker right now as we're starting to see temperature build.
Right, and also that is going to play a big part here with the heat and who can keep their kart freed up, throughout the laps, and especially tomorrow with the features having more laps than the heat races.
And the drivers I talked to told me the track is very sticky. They're having a real hard time keeping all four tires down.
Yeah.
So that might play into it.
We're going to see a lot of two-wheel action here. That is not what you want to see, but it is a big aspect of coming to pit race. If you take a close look here as we take a lap around following Chris Carroll and a number of drivers, and including Mr. Hudson Brown there in the number 021 Gold Kart. And there are rhino patches, the black liner that basically begins at corner entry and goes all the way through the center and to the exit of the corner. It's about 2 lanes wide. A very crazy story of how that originally got laid down. Pit race has been around for nearly 20 years, probably about 25, I guess, if you count it all the way, Tony.
Yep.
And it had a repave a couple of years ago. The first race back on the repave was a race of the former Gear Up F Series that featured a ton of shifters, a ton of tag karts, soft tires, and the load on the first race here started literally ripping chunks of asphalt out of the racetrack. Well, Pit Race quickly was able to did everything they could to try and get that race. Unfortunately, they had to postpone it to continue track repairs, but that inspired them to go, okay, well, we need to make an adjustment. We need to fix this so we can keep our repave and keep a smooth surface. And every major corner where the kart is going through heavy load has that rhino liner, and that stuff is super, super grippy. But at the same time, it is very similar to the rubber buildup, where if we get what is always known as beaver rain here at Pittsburgh, and there's always that chance at any given race weekend, that stuff becomes like ice, and you have to stay off of it. Right. So, but like you said, Dave, that is a higher level of grip, probably the highest grip conditions these drivers have competed at any CKNA National for that matter. Newcastle has bits and pieces of rhino patch on their circuit as well, but nothing as long and as wide as all the patches in nearly every major corner as here is Pit Race. So checkers in the air, but yes, that'll be something for sure to keep an eye on, and that is where the cream rises to the top in tricky conditions. And while we've got a couple superstars at the top here from Senior Group B that have gone quickest overall, Paulie Massimino and James Overbeck, a couple of the PPK Coyotes, have gone first and second, a 62.45 for the pair. Both of them obviously working together just a couple thousandths apart. So they'll set the stopwatches for everyone of that's the time to beat, and probably going to go even quicker when they put on sticker Vega tires for qualifying, which is our next session up. Junior qualifying, as we now come to a close with warm-ups, will be the next session to roll onto the racetrack here from Pittsburgh. There is a schedule, of course, at the bottom of your screen for all of you watching along on YouTube and back at home. You're able to watch the free coverage all the way up until the heat races. Then it'll be exclusive to KC Premium members. That's $9.99 a month, but a quick tip as well for us as the KC team. If you try to go and look on your iPhone or Apple device, Apple actually adds on an extra $3. We don't see any of that, so we're telling you the secrets as well. If you want to let your family members know when you first sign up, you can still go back and log into it on your Apple device, but when you're first signing up, make sure you do it on a computer or an Android. That way you can get the lower price of $10 a month or $9.99 instead of getting billed at the $12.99 on an iPhone. But either way, that'll be exclusive to the premium members for the live portion. All of the replays from this weekend will be posted fully for free by Wednesday next week. So if you don't want to sign up for the live subscription to watch the races for the heats and the main events tomorrow, that's okay. You'll still get to see them with highlights throughout on Facebook and Instagram throughout the day today and tomorrow. Highlight recaps of the medium and the light races tomorrow night, and then the full broadcast replay next Wednesday. But that's a look at our schedule, and we're pretty much right about on time. We've got about a 10-minute break here for the hardworking team. Again, this is record temperatures, record humidity. We talked about the heat. It's not just for the drivers. The hardworking CKNA officials on the racetrack, they're about to get a well-deserved water break and join us here in the air conditioning in the booth at the scoring tower. So for that, folks, we'll take a moment to go quiet on the airwaves, hear a word from our partners, and myself, Xander Clements, Tony the Toe, and Dave Mack, we back with all the qualifying sessions here live from the inaugural CKNA Summer Nationals in Pittsburgh.
Come back.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental U.S.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
I'm David Serra, 18-time Australian karting champion, and we're launching Kart Class. Kart Class is an advanced digital training program that suits a driver who's just starting out in the sport, all the way to the driver looking to win a national championship. In this program, you're going to be learning about how to find the ideal racing line and what an apex is. Braking and throttle markers, wet weather racing lines, and how to overtake other competitors. We target how to brake in the wet weather, and we look on the mental side of kart racing as well with our mental skills coach. At the completion of this program, you'll be lighting up purple sectors in qualifying, know when to defend on the opening laps, and how to pressure your opposition into mistakes. We teach you the tools to be resilient and how to get in the right frame of mind before a race. We look to complete the whole package by getting a strong mindset, a driving style to suit all conditions, strategizing your race, and getting the last 1% from your team. We'll teach you how to win the final lap of a race, driving the wet like Max Verstappen, and creating the perfect bubble for yourself to mentally be in the zone. To find out more, click the link below.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today.
Parallel USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parallel Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParallelinUSA.com.
You need it? We got it. At Kart Eat Parts, we are your complete online aftermarket kart part superstore. From chains to bearings to bumpers and components, we've got it in stock and ready to ship straight to your door from our base in Ontario, Canada. Check us out online at karteparts.ca.
Okay, welcome back to Kart Chaser. We are at Pittsburgh International Raceway. This is a Cup Karts North America CKNA Summer Nationals. Xander is here, and my name is Dave Mack, and we're very happy to be bringing you the Hot Lap Qualifying sponsored by RLV. Now, anybody who's not familiar with this is you get to go out 4 laps, and you need one fast one. Don't matter if it's first, second, third, or fourth, but you're starting. Well, this will determine where you're going to start at each one of the events and whatever. So, anyway, 4 laps of Hot Lap Qualifying. The junior class, once again, is so full that we split it in half. So there will be a top half and a bottom half. Actually, the other way around. We'll start bottom half, top half. The senior light class will split it in thirds, and the senior medium split in thirds. Everybody else, the whole class goes out at once. And this is our junior class out there right now.
Yep, and so while they begin their first lap, we'll take a moment here, folks, for those watching along. Let's take a look at the official pit race track map presented by Kart Class to let you know what it looks like from high up above the skies, right? So you were just seeing from our start-finish camera there, it is a full-speed bounce the rev limiter run down to turn number 1, and that's the first of the many corners that have that Rhino liner. Major passing zone down in that first corner. Then you have a big drafting run as you kind of climb up the side of the hill over towards turn number 2, and the hardest braking zone on the racetrack, turn number 3. Now, there is a lot of runoff area at the exit of this corner, so you will see a lot of defensive driving probably going in. It also does have that Rhino liner that shifts the line a little bit lower, but you got a lot of space where if a guy's not careful, he'll open up too much, and you can get it down the inside into turn number 3. Turn 4, I would consider probably our third passing zone, maybe one of the trickier ones because it's a light brush of the brakes before you set up a really technical section of S's in 5 and 6 and 7 that lends you back up the side of the mountain through turn 8, up the hill to turn number 9, and over to the back side of the racetrack that, for the most part, that turn 10, 11, 12, 13 complex is blind for everyone down on the fence line. So there, obviously, actually we got some questions this morning of what our delay was on our YouTube stream as the mechanics and friends and family are watching on the fence, having their phones out to be able to see what's going on in the back section of the racetrack. But that's our last major 3 passing zones. All 3 of those hairpins, long, wide entrances with braking that you'll go down the hill into turn number 10, a little more flat by 11, and then turn 12, that last brush off the throttle is what sets you up for the long run over to the bus stop that is full throttle, jumping the curbs through 14, 15, and 16, and then back around to the start-finish line for a full lap here at Pit Race that for pretty much every class is going to be more than a minute long, so it's a long lap around, and it will take us a moment to get through all of qualifying. Well, let's check back in. Max Mo Karam in the 846 has gone to the top on his initial lap at a 64.444. Gabriel Payne in the 45 is second. Ryan Sukina third in the 146. And not only were they split up in groups, Dave Mack, but the CKNA officials did, from what we can tell, a pretty good job at gapping everyone out. With only 4 laps to qualify, I don't know, Dave, you may be able to correct me on the rules. Are the drivers allowed to re-gap themselves when they're released from the pit lane? Tony, you might know as you join us back here in the booth. We have seen the officials spacing the drivers out when they are released onto the racetrack to try and eliminate any kind of drafting.
There's no drafting, no bump drafting, no anything in qualifying.
No anything.
Yeah.
So you're not allowed to go back and find a dancing partner. If you accidentally catch someone, you have to pass them.
Correct.
So you're really just out there again by yourself, and you might get a little bit lucky if you're faster than the guy in front of you to close up and get a little help off of him. That will be interesting to follow. So gaps as they get spaced onto the racetrack, and you pretty much have to straight up get out there and go. And right now, that's what Max Mo Karam has done. His second lap was not as quick. But we're following Max right now on that blue and yellow Don't Sleep Energy Drink Alonso card entry. And he has been bumped down to second. Gabriel Payne did go a little bit quicker on his second lap. But let's follow Max around here as he jumps the curb there through the bus stop. First on the right, kind of clips the ones on the left. He'll come to the finish line for his third lap to be completed. One more lap to go as Jason Burgess gives the white flag. It will not be quicker for him. Quickest on the first lap still for Max, while Gabriel Payne just coming by there. He was about the 4th or 5th cart from Max to cross the line, the 45 car. Fastest, we got problems in the backside. The 96, we'll see if we can ID who that was that has spun around at the exit of turn 13. That's Kellen Weiss. So an interesting place to go around with a spin there on the backside of the racetrack to spin at the exit of turn 13. That's a relatively high-speed corner that's not super hard to keep it on the racetrack, but obviously something amiss there, unfortunately, for Weiss. And there you can see he is out of the go-kart and his qualifying session sadly will end, and that'll make a very hard run through the heat races because there are 52 total drivers in our junior class here for the CKNA Summer Nationals. Gabriel Payne's third lap still held over McCarron. Ryan Curl there in third. Isaiah Maxey in fourth. And here comes McCarron. He got a big toe at the line there, and there you saw it. He was right on the bumper of another one of the Magic Card entries, caught up to someone, and it will not hold. As even better for Gabriel Payne. He'll go better at the end at a 63.97. McCarron will end second, 2/10 off, and then another 2.5 back to Ryan Curl. But the number 45, the next-gen motorsport or new-gen motorsport entry, the Indiana-based team, another one of the newer American chassis that has broken onto the scene. They don't have a lot of entries here, but Gabriel has just put them fastest in his group. And while we do have the faster half from Happy Hour yesterday set to roll, that 63.9 will hopefully be a good enough time to, I would say, a success if you're coming out of the slow group, Tony, to probably put yourself in the upper half of that fast group. You know there's some heavy hitters coming, and the track's going to get a little bit better. But if you can at least, knowing that there's 26 more cars to run and they were the 26 guys faster than you on Friday, if you end up top 20, top 15, that's a good day out of the slow group.
And you got 2 heats to move yourself back up. And as we always say, this, people feel the first group out is the slower group because we're trying to keep everybody so they're not ganging up on each other or holding somebody back. But Gabriel Payne might have had some problems. He's worked them out. He's got a pretty good time. And like you said, that could put him up there with the first group now. We'll see what the times are for the first group, but there will be some heavy hitters coming out in this next group that's going to go out in junior. So these are our faster drivers, and as you were mentioning, Xander, that they not supposed to bump draft. They can try to get behind somebody, but just don't make any contact. If there's any contact, that will be they'll set them back to their next fastest lap. So the officials are keeping an eye on that. We have the most officials ever on a track that we put in a race. So Greg made sure that this race was well covered, and we do have a lot of officials. And just for the racers, you got to be careful out there. Don't do something that's going to get you in trouble. And like I said, make sure you get your fuel check when you come off. Well, now we're qualifying, so your fuel's got to be legal. It's
now it
late.
is a check.
now
it will be. You better have it right, or you're going to pay the price if you don't. But all the courtesy checks, they're still available.
Yeah, they're still available.
If you haven't gone out yet, obviously, to head over to the tech area and to ask any questions or have any courtesy checks on your fuel. Always smart as well to bring your jug over as well to make sure that your jug is clean. Many racers running different fuel, different engines, different types of fuel. With the 2-stroke blend versus the 4-stroke pump gas here. All of that, you definitely want to check and make sure you got a nice clean jug and a nice clean fuel tank, as we can see the hardworking officials there sadly are getting Mr. Weiss's cart up and onto the back of the cart recovery vehicle. So that will take us a moment before they clear the rest of the racetrack, and we'll roll with the next of our drivers here, the faster half from final practice yesterday. And they're going to be lined, I believe, in that order. So with that, let's see if we can't give a little bit of love to the first few ones that will be getting set to roll. I can see on the right-hand side there the number 75 Steel Motorsports, Ricardo Kart, Isaac Malka, Little Sizzle. He has been on a tear for the last real 12 months, getting a couple major wins, and we expect him to be exactly where he is, coming out pretty quick from final practice. There goes the number 57 machine out and onto the racetrack. That is Holden Harder, who made the trek down from Wisconsin and was catching up with Dan Schlosser at Pro Kart Concepts. And he's like, well, if you're coming down from Wisconsin, I'm going to need some spotted cows and some cheese curds here if you want any kind of help this weekend. Holden Harder has, and his dad, they have definitely brought the flavor of Wisconsin here to Pittsburgh. So just like you both have been saying, from Canada, from all across the U.S., from Mexico as well. We've got so many drivers from all around the world, and mainly all around the country, of course, that have all conglomerated here to the Northeast, to Pittsburgh. And that's what makes it such a fun race, to take the best from every town, from every club, put them all together and see who comes out on top of the heap.
Yeah, really. Like I said, once again, it is a national, the first CKNA Summer National here, June 2024, and we're into qualifying right now, the RLV qualifying. We thank RLV. And just to mention, the tow vehicle, courtesy of Oakland Valley Raceway. We got everybody involved in this to make this a true national race for the CKNA racers in this part of the country.
Hey, a spot to watch on the track I noticed earlier today during warm-ups, coming out of turn 1. A lot of karts are going off the track, and there's dust and debris flying everywhere. That's going to get worse and worse all day long, so that may affect some of these drivers.
Yeah, Tony, you remember from all of our times coming to pit race prior to the repave, that extra runoff was added in from the rental karts and the general public tearing up their grass. But you give a racer more runoff room, they're going to take it. And that's going to play very interesting into the racing here to have a racetrack like this where they're able to go still up to the edge of the grass. And it really is just grass at the outside of the majority of these corners. Now, on these hairpins here, there are curbs on the exit that you don't necessarily want to hit, so that's going to kind of keep them from going into the grass and the dirt. But turn 1, turn 3, if someone goes off, especially at the back of the pack, who's going to be the first driver to it? The race leader, and he'll be a snow plow, clearing the marbles and the dirt out of the way. And I think that's going to help basically bring him back to the pack as if the draft wouldn't do that already. And it should make our jobs really easy and really fun, because when you have tracks like that where the grass is right up to the edge of the racing line and someone goes off, brings dirt on, and the first guy to hit it, it's like in the rain, he goes wide, and then boom, everyone's all back on top of each other once again.
Yeah, and we were mentioning when we were watching one of the other drivers there trying to improve his time, you don't want to hit some of these curbs. That seems to slow them down. And on some tracks, it is the thing to do, but here at Pittsburgh, I noticed the people that were trying to hit the curbs were actually running slower, and the faster people were not hitting the curbs. Now, that's not every curb out there, but certain ones. And I noticed that one driver who was trying to improve his time that time, he hit the wrong ones at the wrong time, and that's why he didn't better his time. I think he would have been better off trying to avoid that, and maybe he would have had a better time. But I've been hearing from the drivers, you don't want to hit some of these curbs that will slow you down.
Yes, that is for sure. As we've got Nathan Dupuis, a Canadian, here racing this week, and he's also, like Isaac, got a very busy calendar, been behind the wheel of a U.S. national event almost every single weekend, it seems, here. And the summer stretch for him, his father and his mom all on the road in their camper just chasing the American majors. And further back, another one to talk about. How about the number 10 of Carter Barkas as he makes a move? He'll jump up to third on the score charts here. Malkuth's gone quickest. Cade Yeager was quick on his opening lap. He's actually further back on the lineup where they sent on the racetrack, so he has not crossed the line to answer Malkuth's challenge for that top spot. We'll wait to see when he populates, but a good point about those curbs, Tony, and especially when we get back around to this section that we just exited, the infield. There's a couple you want to hit and a couple that you don't, like you said, because it'll break the momentum. They're not flat curbing on the inside or any of the exit curbs. They're all rounded off and built very similarly, if not exactly, to the CIK specs. So in certain cases, you're going to shorten the racetrack. When you hit it there in the inside of that hairpin, you saw it break Carter a little bit loose, and he kind of lost some speed coming out. So that's one of those curbs you're talking about that really hurts you. But when you're in a straight line, you'll see them go right here and shorten that racetrack. That right-hand curb is nice and flat and easy to go through. Then they'll stay off the rest in the chicane. When we get back around to the infield, though, there's, I think, to me, a very key point that not everyone's figured out at this racetrack, but the fast guys have, of, like you said, some curbs to hit, some curbs to not hit. So let's see if we can pick up one more here further back, because Malkuth's still the quickest, as we'll jump even further around the field coming out of turn number 1. Let's see if we can't find, there's the 92 of J.J. O'Neill. I'd love to see if we can't find Cade Yeager. He's going to be one of the last ones on the racetrack. Just crossed the line now. There he is, Cade Yeager in the 64 PPK entry. And there he is with a black, white, and orange coyote color. So watch right here, Tony and Dave, through turn 3. So you're not going to hit this curve. Nope. Or maybe you'll touch it by accident, but that's not one you want to hit. But right here, this infield section, although Cade's going to get past, and a little frustrated by it, that left curve is key to hit. The right, you actually want to miss. You want to use that left curve to set up and start your run all the way back at the exit of that double left. And you're full throttle, wheel as straight as you can. Any bump or any curve is going to break momentum. So Cade obviously wasn't happy with getting past on this fast lap.
He took it back,
So he's gone back by, and sadly that's going to hurt both him and Sam Tutwiler in the 9. They are currently second and third, and I think with all the passing back and forth, they're not going to be able to answer the challenge from Isaac Malkuth's third lap that's got him top of the heap.
So one thing we heard, and Dave told me, we're going to call Malkuth.
Malkuth, yep.
You had to correct it.
And I did get to meet Sam Tutwiler's grandmother and grandfather last night. So
they corrected you.
Not Tutwiler, right?
Not Tutwiler. Tutwiler, right?
Yes,
so,
Tutwiler.
I got that one right now. But we were told it's Malkuth. Hewitt.
Mal Hewitt. Well, Mal Hewitt is on top, and it sounds like we're going to be saying his name a whole lot more,
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
which has definitely been the case for the last 2 years that he has been in the junior categories, and he was a stud in the cadet classes as well. So 2.5 tenths, pretty hefty margin for Isaac Mal Hewitt there at the top of the boards. Cade Yeager and Sam Tutwiler, second and third. Hudson Jack Irwin are fourth. Carter Barkis ending fifth, about a half second back. Nicholas Capilongo joining them in the top 5 for a bit. He gets bumped down to 6th at the end. Holden Harder, 7th. J.J. O'Neill in 8th. Prevail Perkins in 9th. And Shane Smith rounds the top 10. Our quick driver from the slow group, Gabriel Payne, slots into 12th overall. That's
Not
a
bad.
very,
Yes.
very good
Yeah.
cycle and shuffle through.
Considering how many karters are in this class, and he ran, like we said, with the slower group, but he's in now with, I would say, the faster group.
Right, you talk about a major overnight leap, right? Again, there were
Right.
about 26 of them in the 52 class between the two groups, 26 in a piece. So with him, and he wasn't even the first one out on the racetrack.
Nope.
So he was probably around 30th or 31st on Friday happy hour, and he leapfrogs all the way up to P12. That'll put him 6th on the grid for the even group when they go out for the 2 rounds of heat races today, correct? Because they're
Right.
split down the middle and they stay
Right.
in their flights through those 2 rounds of racing?
That's how they do it. So what would you say is you want to be on the outside or the inside on a start with this Pittsburgh International?
Well, I mean, on a rolling start, always outside of a very rare instance like a New Jersey Motorsports Park where they count the inside as a bend, but then the real braking corner is turn 2, that left-hander down
Right.
at the end of the straightaway. That's the only place where the outside ends up being sometimes a little better. Here
Right.
you've got 2 back-to-back right-handers, and the main thing is that because it slowly curves away on this run, this basically straightaway that's bent at their full throttle, everyone, as soon as they get single file, is going to jump right down to the inside. So the pushing and shoving and drafting, that little bit they'll get out of turn 1 to turn 3, it's okay to start on the outside. It's a 90, not a 180 for turn 1. I don't think it's terrible, but you've got to get down to the inside by the exit of turn 1 so that way you don't get freight trained, because the moment that they line up alongside you, you're not going to find a hole. It's like Martinsville on the run from turn 1 to turn number 3. You'll see 4 or 5 go-karts blow your doors off before you get even to brake for the second corner that you get on the brakes for turn number 3. So that's my analysis take from I've run here twice over the years. First before the repave, second after the repave. Granted, showing even my years, I was back in 2015 or 2014, and then back again in 2017. 17 was the year that the repave happened, and they had the Rhino liner in. Made it a little bit easier because there was a little more room with the added runoff to get through the first corner and not end up over in those pillows on the outside of turn 1. But yeah, this big run right here, the whole pack is going to hug the grass.
Yep.
And they're going to start bump drafting each other before they get to turn number 3. So I think the key for the starts, whether you're inside or outside, get clear by the exit of the corner and get down to the bottom before someone fills that gap.
So the pole sitter does have the advantage in this case, the being on the inside, and that's what this track offers. Like you said, we've been at other tracks where sometimes you want to be on the outside pole because you can come around and get that lead right away. But here, as you said, they are going to jump down. If you're not jumping down by that second turn, getting down on the inside, you're going to get freight trained. You're not going to get back in.
Without a doubt. Now, and again, that's even more critical in a class like junior that's going to have an LCQ tomorrow where every position in those heat races counts double. You're basically passing an entire row with the way the points go. So you go back 4 spots, you're basically going back 8. But we've got problems. Look at this.
Yeah.
Todd Bolton just lost the right rear tire coming out of turn 13.
Well, he still had some. I think he still had some time, so he at least got.
No, that was his first lap.
Oh, wow.
That was coming to complete the very first lap.
Tough break.
Oh, man. Todd Bolton.
Tough break.
And he is out right at the finish line. He wheeled that thing with no tire on it through the end of the chicane, but eventually the momentum took him to a halt, and there he is getting the tire back. And Tony, you know this as well. One of 2 things happens there. Either the lug nuts weren't tight and loosened out and the tire came straight off, or the hub itself wasn't tight and slid right off the axle as well, which can also happen. So one of 2 issues there, but luckily he'll be able to fix either way, get back out for the heat races. And the saving grace is here in the Legends class. We do only have 13, so it's not a death sentence to go back and start P13.
That's the one good thing in this class. I mean, he could start 13th, and he's got 2 heats to make it up before he gets to the feature. Now, I know the officials are going to check that, and there could be some kind of penalty for him not taking care of his
Yeah,
wheel.
typically in qualifying with the new penalty structure, it's removing the fast laps, which he's got no laps to lose.
So he's got no
anyway.
laps. So there's not. Yeah,
I believe. Now, the only major penalty that everyone in the paddock has been informed about the drivers' meeting has already been part of the CKNA regional races, was already, I believe, announced as well at Charlotte, is the weights. And, of course, for those in the paddock, make sure as well you've got double nuts, safety wires on all of your weights, because the moment that a weight comes off of your go-kart on the racetrack, it's an instant disqualification from the weekend. It's the last thing Greg or Keith or any of the officials, Chris Olds, want to do is heartbreakingly say, sorry, your weekend's done and you got to go all the way back home now. But it's a safety thing. And, a 5-pound weight, again, it's only 5 pounds, but coming off a go-kart at 60 miles an hour or getting hit by a go-kart in the middle of the racetrack could be very catastrophic. Right. So that is, of course, the method to the madness, the reasoning for the heavy-handed penalties for that. And like you said, that's also flooded over into any pieces of the go-kart coming off. Cameras, tires, batteries, anything of the like, you've got to make sure are all nice and secure.
Right, and that's the officials are not trying to give the racers a hard time. They just want to keep it safe. And we were seeing a lot of weights being dropped, so that had to be taken care of. And also, depending on the size of the weight, it might need 2 bolts with 2 double fasteners holding the 2 bolts on. And that's really up to the drivers and the pit crew to make sure your weights are secured.
Yeah, and they changed the washer size on that, too, just a few races back.
Yeah,
That's
30
LE
millimeters.
Inco
As well, to make sure that it doesn't pull through the seat as well, right?
Right.
So the extra washer to help with a little more security and stability. Now, Elienko, a massive lap on that opening lap that he got. You saw him close up to Tim Stiefel here, but I believe he's doing a cool-down lap now because he did not go faster on laps 2 or 3, so he's going to try and cool those tires back off and save them a little bit, and he may bail to the pit lane before he completes lap 4 because he is safely on top of the leaderboards right now. Nearly 4/10 over J.D. Gunn. Todd Barron on the Mach 1, Barron Racing Team 11 on screen right there. He's headed to the bus stop trying to get an answer. Let's see if he goes any bit higher. He's 3rd at the moment at the line. He will leapfrog his way to 2nd. 104.56, picked up a 10th on that final lap. Todd Barron will jump up and move J.D. Gunn down to 3rd. Gunn cannot go better. He'll stay P3. Tim Stiefel, who Elienko had caught up to on that last lap and then backed off, he ends up 4th. Jeff Chalmers 5th. Tim Connell still waiting for Wayne Hadslick. And Michael Gallin, Brian Donati. Let's see if they go any bit better here, Dave Mack, on this last lap. So far, not going to happen.
Nope. Ellie looks like he's going to hold the fast time. Ellie from Ontario, one of our Canadian friends, came down to race with us. And Ellie is real strong all over America and Canada. He was racing last weekend up in Montreal. We were up there, and he lost a tire, which is very unusual for Ellie.
Well, he's a busy man. He's got the entire VSR team that he's managing as well and running and operating. So he's got customers he's taking care of, friends as well. And, to be able to be as consistent as he's been, luckily he's not having that this weekend. Well, Todd Bolton has a harder way to try and get over to the scale areas. He's got that kart picked up and wheeling it just off the front tire and the bumper.
I've never seen anybody do that. That's new to me.
That's hardcore right there.
That is, man. Wow. Mr. Bolton, though.
Well, luckily he's got a big gap to catch his breath after lifting that 160, 180-pound go-kart over to the scale line. And it's definitely a deflating walk, even without having to lift the go-kart to get over there when you break down in a session, especially like qualifying, where Todd Bolton was fast in happy hour and was leading us out onto the racetrack. He'll have to start tail end, obviously, for the 2 heat races later today. But congratulations to Elienko. That was a big lap there from lap 1, 3/10 quicker. And that's interesting. Like you mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, Dave, for qualifying specifically with this segment, that it could be lap 1, 2, 3, or 4. And Tony, you and I know typically by the you're building heat and you're only getting faster. But for Ellie to do that on lap 1 shows that he really got his pressures right to turn the tires on right like that.
Right. So knowing Ellie and any seasoned racer here today, Ellie had that kart set up for time trials. He's going to have to change that a little bit to get into the heats, and especially for the feature. If he has that, let's say he went with that same setup in the feature tomorrow, but probably by a lap 8, 9 or something, he might start fading out because that kart is just hooking up too much, and it might slow him down. So that's where the strategy comes in. That's where you'll see your better drivers they'll make those adjustments. They're not going to stick with the same thing all day, especially with this heat. And I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know, if we have a quick rainstorm or something, anything could change. But the smarter people will make those adjustments. And Ellie was adjusted for for qualifying. It's a 4-lap qualifier. He had that thing working right from the beginning, right out of the box. Would it work for 10 laps?
Who knows? Hard to say, right?
Hard to say, right?
We'll find out. But at the same time, that's why he's able to go back to the pit area, get himself some lunch here during the break after qualifying, and then rocket back out on the racetrack here for his heat race and make probably, like you said, drop the tire pressure a little bit to compensate for extra laps on the racetrack. Now, onto the circuit, senior heavy. Now at 27, I don't believe we've split them up. I believe they will probably run the entire group for qualifying. So we'll wait and see, but 27 in total here for senior heavy. And based on the fact that we had a couple of fast drivers, big names there lead us out, I believe this is the entire group. So we've got the full group on the racetrack. This is all one and done for senior heavy, just as it was for legends. William Lessig is the first man on our screen in the MGM, the 331. And then you've got a couple of familiar names along with him, like Eric Fagan, like Mark Steele, like Owen Lloyd, who we have come to know so often at the front of these CKNA national fields.
Justin Wishart.
Justin Wishart right there. Here's a look at Bryce Frank in the 017 MGM. He's going to let one of the VLRs by. Is that Colin Aitken potentially? I believe so. Colin Aitken going by down in turns 4 or 5. Cool little side note, Bryce Frank has been having his first work experience with us, actually, with Kart Chaser. He was with us just last weekend at the SCUSA Pro Tour at Cincinnati, working a broadcast camera. Got to see what it's like on the other side of the fence. And talking with his dad, Chuck, he's like, get Bryce out of the house this summer. Make him start paying off this tire bill. So Bryce Frank, huge kudos to him for one of the many young all-stars we have on our Kart Chaser team. And we've got a team basically full of racers that is obviously fun for me to brag about, hard to schedule logistically, because as much as I want to bring him to work a race, well, Bryce is like, no, man, I'm running the SummerNationals. So we've got some other superstars around the racetrack that are working the cams and the production team, as well as the commentary team as well. We've got another one of our Kart Chaser regulars, Caleb Vieska, in this class that you heard on the microphone last week at the SCUSA Pro Tour and was doing pit reporting a bit at the Spring Nationals, but he also is making his first CKNA start of 2024. Now the first laps are in, so let's go through the lineup of how they've stacked up at the end of lap number 1, Tony.
No surprise, Owen Lloyd up at the front with, I'm going to say, we all know it's a minute, 03-102 for Owen Lloyd. Ronnie Clyes doing a great job out there, 03-692. He's in second. Eric Fagan's come back. He seemed to have some problems at the last race, but he's coming back. MGM driver, of course, 03-703. That puts him in third. Aitken in fourth. Mark Steele. Now, keep an eye on Mark Steele. Owen Mal.
Check this out here on the racetrack as well. We talked about no pushing.
I know.
But these guys are going to be very close here. And so they're going to have to pass each other. Big lap for Mark Steele. We'll move him up to fifth. And he just lost a tire in turn 1 as well.
Oh, man.
Mark Steele just had a failure right in front of the camera down at the first corner, and he is buried in the sand trap at the exit of turn 1. Luckily, he got the lap in. He just shrugged over to the fence line. His mechanics going, I don't know what happened there, but that thing just looped around. I believe the tire came off. It looked like it the way he pirouetted. But
now that's going to benefit Owen Lloyd because he was stuck back there. Now he's got available room to pass.
Yes, although who knows if he had to jam on the brakes there for that spin, so maybe he can get a clean lap on lap 4. Eric Fagan's now trapped behind Owen, but he's still sitting third. His opening lap was good enough. As we see Mark Steele, happily good to see there. He was quick to get up and walk away from that, and that's a testament. That's an old school story as well, Tony. You'll know from Mr. Gary Lobaugh from Michiana Raceway Park. He was the innovator behind the pillows that are here at Pittsburgh and a number of racetracks. They're basically stuffed with foam, and they're the closest thing to karting's innovation as IndyCar had with the safer barrier system that do a great job at absorbing the impact. And while the go-kart might be a little worse for wear, the driver is absolutely not.
You saw Mark it up, and Mark's very competitive with his whole team also. So, but he did have a time, and it just depends. Maybe if it wasn't a lost tire, it was a flat tire, maybe. I'm not sure what happened. He might not get any kind of penalty, and he might be good with his position. I mean, he was, where do we have him? He was 7th
Yeah.
So-
He was 5th, been
Yeah.
bumped to 7th now. 1 lap to go. Owen Lloyd we're following right here on the South Georgia Karting MGM, that bright reddish orange 119. That is going to be, as we mentioned earlier, triple duty, I believe, for Owen. Is that correct? Senior medium, senior light,
I don't
senior
know how
heavy?
he's an Iron Man to do
Yeah.
that. Especially in this heat. I
Yeah.
got to give him credit.
Of course, he's a lot younger than he looks. I think he's like 16 years old or something. He's way younger than.
I go back. Some of the first club racing I did was against his older brothers, the twins,
Yes.
Tyler and Aaron. And back then, Owen was just getting his sea legs in cadet. So, yeah, he's had a growth spurt. He had 2 really tall older brothers, so that's no surprise as well. But like you said, he's not the one that's going to be maybe having a couple beers at the end of the day like Eric Fagan or Mark Steele will be hanging out and bench racing. So that obviously helps in the morning for sure. But either way, man, he's the man. He's the kid
man.
at the top right now. Ronnie Kleiss as well, another young buck that's becoming a veteran over these last couple of years. Second, Fagan for the Wiley veterans there still sits third as the last few cross the line. Colin Aitken, Chris Horan, big lap back on lap 2, jumped into the top 5. Owen Mal, that's a part-timer. He raced a lot as a younger kid, and he's back with his father. They are actually not too far away from Pittsburgh and coming back out for a return here this weekend. He's 6th. Mark Steele's time looks like it's going to hold in 6th, or 7th, sorry, over Nicholas Kiefer. Bryce Frank ends up in 9th there. Justin Wishart,
10th,
top 10 for him. But look at the gaps there, folks. Again, we
Right.
saw Owen Lloyd, his first lap. That was when he was catching up and getting a little bit of a toe off the back of Eric Fagan and off of Mark Steele. Fagan got his first lap as his best as well, I think also with a bit of a toe. I'd be curious if Ronnie Kleiss had a toe as well, because if not, that's scary. Because if you got the draft and that guy still outpaced you, man, watch out for the number 7 later this afternoon. So let's go further back there. Nick Sobiek, Ryan Spirowski, Elmer Edmondson, William Lessig, who was quickest in happy hour and first out. He ended up just barely in the top 10 in 14th. There's a look down on the scale line as action continues here from Pittsburgh. And, well, we will continue to bring you it all. Senior heavy, our third of our 9 divisions, gridded and set now for their heat races with qualifying complete. For Dave Mack, Tony the Toe, myself, Xander Clements, we'll be right back after the break.
Brandon, why are there all these charges for just over $200 from Acceleration Kart Racing's website?
That's because AKR gives you free shipping on orders of $200 or more within the continental U.S.
Okay, but I thought you were just getting a pair of gloves. That's what, 70 bucks?
But if I'm getting a new pair of gloves, I might as well get a new pair of shoes to match. And then on top of that, I'll get a neck brace because with the shipping, it's basically free.
Yeah, I do not think the math checks out on that.
Everything you need, all in one place and shipped to your door for free for orders of $200 or more. Exclusions apply. Spend responsibly. Shop AKR.com.
I'm David Serra, 18-time Australian karting champion, and we're launching Kart Class. Kart Class is an advanced digital training program that suits a driver who's just starting out in the sport, all the way to the driver looking to win a national championship. In this program, you're going to be learning about how to find the ideal racing line and what an apex is, braking and throttle markers, wet weather racing lines, and how to overtake other competitors. We target how to brake in the wet weather, and we look on the mental side of kart racing as well with our mental skills coach. At the completion of this program, you'll be lighting up purple sectors in qualifying, know when to defend on the opening laps, and how to pressure your opposition into mistakes. We teach you the tools to be resilient and how to get in the right frame of mind before a race. We look to complete the whole package by getting a strong mindset, a driving style to suit all conditions, strategizing your race, and getting the last 1% from your team. We'll teach you how to win the final lap of a race, driving the wet like Max Verstappen, and creating the perfect bubble for yourself to mentally be in the zone. To find out more, click the link below.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today. USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
You need it? We got it. At Kart Eat Parts, we are your complete online aftermarket kart part superstore. From chains to bearings to bumpers and components, we've got it in stock and ready to ship straight to your door from our base in Ontario, Canada. Check us out online at karteparts.ca.
Okay, we're back with Kart Chaser at Cup Karts North America's 2024 Summer Nationals in Pittsburgh International Raceway. We've got Tony the Toe Cirillo here. I'm Dave Mack, and we're just watching Hot Lap Qualifying, sponsored by RLV. This should be our cadet class out there right now, and we've got a number of drivers. Hayden Lawson, that's everybody knows Gary Lawson, that's his son. Logan McCloskey, Ruben Greer, Harrison Bell, and a number of other people. So Anthony Ciofani, I think it is. And a few others. Parker Stewart is out there right now. Brent Mendoza, Jamin Trilly, John Dwyer, Miles Brownfield. Anyway, a whole bunch of drivers out there. Now, for anybody a little bit confused, this is called Hot Lap Qualifying, sponsored by RLV. They're running 4 laps out there, and they just want one fast one. It don't matter first, second, third, fourth, but they want one fast one that will play into where they get to start the rest of the weekend for the heat races and so on and so forth. So it's very important to get one hot lap, and it doesn't matter which one. No drafting, no bump drafting, no anything like that, no touching. So Tony, how hard is that? You've got a couple of people racing this weekend.
Yeah, no, I mean really, and that's why CKNA looks at that happy hour and tries to separate these carts, put them out there with the faster carts, out front, and so on, so that there is nothing. But you can never know what's going to happen when it comes down to the day of qualifying. Somebody might have had problems yesterday in practice and happy hour. They just didn't run good. They got it running now. And then you see here right now, we're seeing it's getting close between these two drivers, but they got to make sure that they do not make contact. So even though the driver out front probably had the faster time, the driver in second right there that's right behind him just maybe has a better setup for this qualifying.
And once again, this is cadet class, which means they're 8 to 10 years old. They don't take instruction well. when you tell them don't touch.
All right, but right now your fast driver is number 10, Hayden Lawson, and he's in that, if you want to say, second position, following the lead cart there. And Hayden got a 1 point. Like I said, we all know it's 1 minute, but he's a 0.4988.
Okay.
And we got Ruben Greer with a 0.5703. So right now the person to beat is Lawson, Hayden Lawson, with a 4.988. That is the person to beat. And in second, it's Greer, McCloskey in third, William Richard in fourth, Anthony Ciofani in fifth, Jamin Trilly in sixth, Ryan Thompson in seventh, Parker Stewart in eighth, Harrison Bell in ninth, and Brent Mendoza in the top 10. But right now, the person to beat is the number 10 of Hayden Lawson with a 4.988. He's the person to beat. Ruben Greer in the number 020. He's got a 0.5137. So really, Lawson, the only driver right now to break into that 1 minute, 4 second bracket. He's got a 4.988. Greer's got a 5.137. Logan McCluskey with a 5.867. Thompson with a 5.902, and that breaks off the 5 qualifier. Then you get into fifth, William Richard. He's a 6.137. You got to be in that 4 second bracket, the 1 4 second bracket, to run with Hayden Lawson. Lawson with a 4.988. That is the time to beat. Greer's got a 5.137, cart number 020. We got the number 41 out, and I'm not sure who that is.
Scrolling through here as quickly as we can, trying to find it. Reagan Ford Barros, it looks like.
Okay.
And I'm not familiar with that driver at all.
So a tough break for Reagan there. But right now, leading the pack. Leading the pack still is Lawson with a 4.988. That was his fast time. He got that done right away. Greer with a 5.137, not bettering his time. McCluskey with a 5.867. So, again, Hayden Lawson, and we all know Lawson Speed Shop. And
Gary Lawson, absolutely.
Right? Gary Lawson, a many-time champion in all forms of karting. and in all other organizations of karting.
You see a lot of engines here with Lawson, Lawson on the side. Yeah, that's scary.
Lawson Speed Shop is well represented at this race. Unbelievable amount of engines that he has out there in this race with 250 entries, like I said. But Lawson Speed, definitely one of the favorites as far as having a lot of people here racing. But right now, it's his son, Hayden Lawson. Looks like, yep, he's going to get the pole with a 4.837. And now, wait a minute. Ruben Greer, I didn't see that. The number 020 of Ruben Greer came out of nowhere on the last lap. Now, we've been seeing the first lap was the fastest. Greer maybe has his kart set up more for the heat races, so he came on at the end and he turned a 4.836, and he takes the pole away from Lawson. He goes purple, takes the pole away from Lawson. What a run by Ruben Greer with a 4.836. Lawson's got a 4.988. McCluskey in third's got a 5.646. Thompson in fourth with a 5.810. And Trilly in fifth with a 5.971. Those are your top five. But what a run by the number 020 of Ruben Greer. He gets a 4.836 on the last lap. And we've been seeing the fast guys been on the first laps.
Yeah. And anybody who wants to follow along at home, we are on Race Hero this weekend if you want to watch the results as fast as Tony and I see it.
Right.
Race Hero. But, yeah, look at Ruben Greer at the very last lap. He bested Hayden Lawson. I'm really surprised he was able to pull that off.
Yeah, because he was in the 5-second bracket there, and only Lawson was in that 4-second bracket. Not only does he break into the 4-second bracket, he beats Lawson with a 4.836.
Yep.
So a good run by the 020 Ruben Greer on the last lap. And like I said, now people are thinking about the heat, the tire pressures, the traction on the track. I would say Greer's kart was set up more for the heat races coming on today, and nothing wrong with that, but that's why he got faster at the end. Lawson was set up for the time trials, I'm going to say, and he was fast right out of the box. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what the rest of the classes bring. But some great driving there by those drivers. So up next, I believe, is Senior Light, and that's going to be...
Senior Light, okay, no, this one's split in thirds, Tony. We have so many split in thirds, so it's going to be the bottom third group. The bottom third are going out, and Senior Light, let's see what my numbers look like here. 30, almost 60, about 58 roughly. We have about 57, 58 entries, so it'll be roughly about 20 in each third of the group.
Wow.
So we should have 20, 20, and 20 roughly. And there's a good shot of Bailey up there front. That's Paul Bailey from Minnesota in the white, all white. He's the hot grid director, and he decides when everybody goes out. He follows the timing to the second. He's so good and so accurate. Now, he's got the long sleeve shirts and long pants. He swears up and down that's better in this hot weather. So,
well, it protects him from the sun. That's definite. I mean, he's no shade there at all. So.
No, he's unfortunately he's right out in the sun. Yeah, Paul Bailey from Minnesota.
Right, and we want to thank all the CKNA workers.
Oh, my goodness.
And the other thing I want to mention about CKNA, Greg offers everybody when they come to the scales a bottle of water, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Bobby just went out and bought 5 cases, and Greg went out and bought another 5. So we have 10 cases of water here today, and plenty of Gatorade-type drinks, Powerade, and all, just whatever you want.
So that's something that CKNA does for the racers, and having them making sure that they get the right, they get their water when they come off, and I kind of like that. I've been at other races where they don't do that.
Yep. Oh, CKNA is without a doubt the best series to work for. I'll tell you what, I've been here since day one, and I'm just thrilled to death to be working for CKNA. We used to be called something different. That's how long ago it was.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
I'll tell you what, CKNA is always looking for people. So if you have any interest in working for a kart race, or a series, CKNA is very interested in you.
Yeah, check out their website, and you can get information about that. Once again, we're here, Cup Karts North America 2024, first time Summer Nationals here at Pittsburgh International on June 22nd, 2024. This is the race. And like we were talking earlier with Xander, who's the kart chaser person here, and he does a great job, Xander. He keeps up with everything, and he's a racer himself. And as Xander was saying, the people that he has working for him are also racers. And that's so important because they can then give the right feedback from somebody who's never been in the seat or been out there and actually raced on some of these tracks and give us some insights that a lot of us don't have anymore because I'm not racing anymore, and I know Dave's
I'm
not
certainly
racing
not.
anymore.
No,
so it's really good to hear that insight about the track and what's different and how they repaved this track, and it's holding up. It's not ripping up, but yet the traction that the Rhino liner has added to the track, and as the heat comes down and the rubber goes down, this is going to be a tremendous race here this weekend. All right, so now we're, right, you said the first.
Yeah, the bottom third. The
bottom third is out there.
Senior light are out there. Then we'll have the middle third next, and after that, the top third.
All right.
And we'll do the same thing with senior medium, but split in thirds. We'll start at the bottom, then do the middle, then the top.
So we got Brody Clary. He gets a 3.949. Ryan Miller with a 3.683. Matthew Frost, out of Oakland Valley. He's got a 3.456. He works with us at times. Brandon Robinson, he's got a 3.428. William DeZuba, he turns a 3.377. That puts him up in second, but the man to beat right now is the number 995 of Ben Gaunt, and he's got a 3.253. So a good run by the number 995 of Ben Gaunt with a 3.253. William DeZuba with a 3.330.
And Robertson just took second away from Zuba.
Right.
And Tony, speaking of Oakland Valley up there, that's a very nice guy that races with us quite a bit, and a lot of his people are working with us. That's Tim Hannon.
Hannon Motorsports.
Hannon Motorsports, yeah. And Tim, unfortunately, is not here this weekend.
He's racing.
Because he's racing, yes, exactly. He's racing, I think, a sprint car or something? Or
no, it might be he's at Lime Rock.
Okay.
So I would think it's a road course type car,
Okay.
and I don't know if it's a formula car. I think maybe a formula car.
I mean, my confusion is because Tim races so many
Every day.
different classes. Yeah, he's actually literally got 3 racetracks in his yard.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it when I was at his house. So
And he gives us a different race car on show every day.
on display.
On
Yep,
display.
when we're there, he changes it every day. That's absolutely true. Tim is a real class act, and he's a lot of fun. I like Tim a lot.
So, yeah, sorry Tim's not here, but definitely some of his work is here. The tow vehicle, as I said, thanks to Oakland Valley Raceway. So, once again, now we got a new top runner, the number 077 of Ryan Miller. He's got a 3.008. He's on the verge of breaking into that 2-second bracket. Ben Gaunt's got a 3.253. And Pierre Thompson makes his way up to the top 3 with a 3.259. Braden Robinson drops to 4th. The Zuber in 5th. Aiden Hatcher in 6th. Ethan Gray in 7th. Matthew Frost drops back to 8th. Brody Clary in 9th. Emil Osman in the top 10.
So now, once again, these are the, I don't want to say the slowest, but the bottom of the group.
Right.
So a lot of people are going to get ahead of these people in actual fast laps.
Right.
Once again, we're running 4 laps. We're looking for a fast one. This is going to determine the rest of your weekend, basically.
Right. So right now the person to beat is Ryan Miller with a 3.008. He is the person to beat. Aiden Hatcher makes his way up into that second position with a 3.171. Ben Gaunt in the top 3 with a 3.253. So good run here by the junior. What is this? The
Senior lights.
Oh, senior lights.
Senior light.
Senior
Yep,
lights.
bottom
Our
third.
stacked class.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, and the amount of young people in this class is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking 15-year-olds running this class, and they are sometimes the people to beat. They're just so quick coming right out of the junior class and jumping into this. They have been quick.
Well, they've got to hope their times will hold up because you can see with all the no-time drivers down there, that's the second group. That's the fast group yet to go. Owen Lloyd, one of them. Of course, Eli Warren, Brandon Jarsakrak, Colin Aitken. The list goes on and on of the 58 total senior light drivers on the grid here this week. Ian Quinn ended quickest, I believe, in final practice yesterday. I think he should be the first one to lead us to green, or lead the field out. If I'm not mistaken. No, actually, he'll be a little bit further back.
He's in the
Actually, judging by the way they've got – no, because there's 3 groups. My mistake. We had mentioned this at the beginning of the broadcast. This is me not listening to myself.
No
or you guys. So 3 groups in total for senior light. That was the bottom third. This is the middle third, all split at around 18 to 19 carts apiece of the 58 total. And then, of course, we'll have the fast final third that will roll after. That will have Quinn and Overbeck, Gafera, Jarsakrak, Amundsen, and the list goes on. This is the middle part of the group, beginning as Pierre Thompson on the last lap. He was one of the ones that was way towards the back and a little further down the boards. Big final lap, a 63, dead nuts on 0, 0, 0. 63, 0, 0, 0 for him. 8 thousandths better than Ryan Miller. 10th and a half back to Aiden Hatcher. Ben Gaunt fourth. Braden Robertson fifth at a 63.3. William Dzuba there in sixth. Emil Osmond in seventh. Moved up a little bit later on his final lap. Ethan Gray, Matthew Frost, Brody Clary. And in that first group, there were a grand total of 18. The only one not getting to run all the laps was Garrett Chrome, unfortunately. He only got one lap in at a 106.36, so he'll probably end up bottom of the heap, besides maybe another one out of either of these next two groups to go with a mechanical issue, which, again, we've seen happen to a couple of big names already. Mark Steele and Todd Bolton are first two that have had some issues in qualifying. So this group, beginning with the 87 of Emily DeMaster. She was, again, just below the cut line for that fast group. So she will lead the middle group out. Then behind her will be Michael Mastandria, Will Lawler, Eric Goldstein, Addison Ianello, Sawyer St. Clair. Owen Lloyd finds himself in this middle group, it looks like. Massimo Sunseri, Presley Whitney, Cale Zimmerman, Nagisa Yoshikawa, Brady Eichhoff, Alex Parasino, Kelvin Shing, Tyler Koshorn, Logan Hickman, Ryan Soralik, Jaden Krause, Dylan Davidson. And I don't know if the last couple are all correct, but if so, it'd be Colin Aitken and Brandon Atkins as the last ones that are in this group, middle group, which is, again, this is a stacked enough middle group.
I mean, you
of
called
drivers.
out some of the top racers in this middle group.
Yeah.
So, like I said, this is going to be some race here this weekend.
After hearing all them names, I'm thinking, who's in the top group?
Right,
You know, that's, that's
Well,
people that, I mean, they're coming up, of course. But
Right. So, again, we've got about 18 or 19 of them here in this group, led out with Emily DeMaster. And Eli Warren looks like he was the last one that made it through the cut to go to the fast group from Friday practice yesterday. I see Owen Lloyd there at the back of the screen. So he's obviously on track in this group. But we'll follow Emily around as she makes her way over to turns 12 and 13 and gets set to start her first lap on that Roderick Racing Development entry headed towards the bus stop. And they've done, again, another great job. It's easier as well with a couple less go-karts. We've seen groups now of 26, 27 deep, 18, so they can make the gaps a little bigger and hopefully try to make it where no one catches anyone and gets that fluke little toe lap bonus like we saw in a couple sessions.
And I think Emily's on a Coyote now. They, Roderick switched over to Coyote.
Okay.
And Coyote's well represented here today. I mean, when you talk about the amount of carts, and we can go into that later, Coyote's definitely the top.
Yeah, I believe I heard the number was somewhere north of 50 of the 250 entries on
I don't
Coyotes.
know if they got 50, but it could be. I mean, I just went by what was on the registration, and some people don't put down what they're running, but it's definitely the most. They got the most carts here.
Well, it helps when you go out and 1, 2, 3, 4 it in the light class at the Grands last year and win the medium main as well, and you prove the product works with all the stars on the brand. That always helps move a few go-karts out of the shop and out of the production line. So
and that's paid off. I mean, they're definitely, at this Summer National, they are the top manufacturer. And back in the day, Coyote was the Gold Cup top manufacturer, winning a lot of races and winning the manufacturer's championship. So a name that goes back many years, and still at this Summer National, they have, I'm going to say, the most carts here registered.
Well, a couple carts have now gone to the top ahead of the quickest from our previous group there with Ryan Miller and Pierre Thompson, 5th and 6th now as they all cycle around. William Lawler has gone to the top. Lloyd 2nd. There goes Kelvin Ching and Alex Passarino into the top 5. Jaden Krause into the top 5 in 4th. But Will Lawler on the number 10 has gone fast, man, really quick. The low-key racing Sodi team, they have expanded. You talk about a brand.
They have a lot of carts here, too, today.
Yeah, breaking out first, really, with Christopher Wakefield in that junior class. He obviously ran at the front at Grands and at the other Nationals. And then over the course of the last 12 months, really the last 18 months, Sodi has had such a massive rebirth here in the U.S. Across all divisions. And now Will Lawler aboard the number 10 low-key racing Sodi is the benchmark at the 62.3 although he had to make a pass that lap, I believe, on Michael Mastandrea, so he did not go quicker on lap 2. Owen Lloyd does not go faster either. He's also around a little bit of traffic from what it looked like. He's a little bit further back from this duo. Emily DeMaster, she's still by herself, and her second lap was a little better. She slotted into 7th here as the last half of the group's coming through. She'll get bumped now one more spot. How about Logan Hickman into the top 5 now?
Yeah, Hickman got a 2.694, but right now the person to beat is Will Lawler with a 2.338. That is the person to beat in this pack right now.
And Owen Lloyd not very far back at a 2.349.
Okay.
Yeah, not far at all. Only 11 thousandths off. Both of them had the money lap, maybe being that first lap. Maybe the tires coming to life. Maybe a little bit of toe on that opening lap when you caught someone that had to pass them on lap 2. Still 2 more laps remain. And there you can see Owen Lloyd. He's kind of in the middle of a pack of 4. He's got space. He's not breaking any of the rules on bump drafting. Right. But this is actually, if they're fast enough in front of him,
might help him. Yes.
A really good lap, and it will be good enough to go to the top. 62.014. Owen Lloyd by 0.3 clears the field now. Lawler, Sawyer St. Clair with a big lap. Now Owen's going to catch up to this group. Addison Ianello in the middle there. She's on the number 46 machine. Just got passed by one of those red speeds that looked to be the number 55 of Eric Goldstein who went by. So all 3 drivers in this group. This is a fast little pack here. 1st, 9th, and 14th. But unfortunately, Owen's going to have to make a pass here down the hill. And he will down at the bottom, or try to.
That's going to hurt him.
Yeah. So that'll hurt Owen's chances to go any better on lap 4, mired in traffic
wow, they
here.
were all bunched up there.
Yeah, they're in joining as well, the 101 of Sawyer St. Clair. He also followed Owen around to get a good lap that last time to go to 3rd. But their 4th lap doesn't look like it's going to be good, so can anyone else answer the call? Checkered flag in the air, 4-pack across the line. Couple others have crossed. Mastandrea went better, 5th. But no one in that pack improved. Sawyer St. Clair, Owen Lloyd, Goldstein, Ianello, all in traffic.
It was very lucky that Lloyd had that good lap when he had it, because those last lap wouldn't have did it for him. I thought maybe Will Lawler would come back and take it away, but he didn't. He stuck in that 2nd place. St. Clair moves up to 3rd. He wasn't up there in the beginning. And in that last qualifying, we saw a guy turn on the last lap get his best lap, not the beginning.
And so he was one of the last ones across the line, too. Guy that must have had a very bad Friday happy hour in Pierre. So,
but, yeah, it's just and the type of setup that they're going for. So we'll see where that puts Lloyd.
Look at the pickup as well. A full second. 102 flat for Owen Lloyd in this middle group. A 103 flat for Pierre Thompson that put him fastest in the first group. They still did leapfrog a couple from the middle group, but they've been bumped now to 17th and 18th for him and Ryan Miller. Hatcher, Gaunt, Robertson, 20th, 21st, 22nd of the 36 that have run so far.
And then look at the names coming up.
Yeah, check this out here. The remaining 20 from the fast group that will roll there, I believe, might have been Will Lawler walking off in the Sodi suit.
Yeah.
Still a good run for Will, with the opening lap being his best. He actually pulled in 1 lap early, realizing he was not improving.
Lawson Speed Shop got the front row here.
Yeah, check this out, right? How about a couple of Mark Steele Motorsports, Lawson Speed Shop engines in Ian Quinn and Henry Wheeler.
Wow.
That will be ready to lead this pack out.
And you got the Coyotes.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Cincinnati kid there.
Cincinnati kid sitting right
Team's
there.
over, Beck.
Yeah, so
this is going to be some race here this weekend. I'm telling you, we got the best of the best, and just everything that's happening here. This is. I always call this. Well, I called Pittsburgh last year the forerunner to the Grands, because if you can master this track, you're going to have a pretty good shot at mastering when you get to Newcastle. Yes. So this is a good thing for these drivers to get to this race to prepare for the Grand Nationals. We could talk about Grand Nationals later. It's going at a different time of year. I don't know what the conditions are going to be there. We could talk about that some other time. But right now, I tell drivers, if you get to this race and you're thinking about going to the Grand Nationals, this is the race you want to do to see how you're doing or what you have to do to improve yourself.
Yeah, this is a full pathway, a full road to Newcastle, really, in the CKNA structure. All the regional championships, the Winter Nationals, the Spring Nationals, now the Summer Nationals, all roads lead to Indiana
Right.
for Grand Nationals. That is going to be obviously another probably record-breaking year.
Wow.
Who knows? Maybe we'll end up near the 600 number in entries
man.
this year. I don't know how you can fit another trailer in that place, but I guarantee Mike Adams
will
and
do
Greg
it.
Jasperson are trying to find a way to get more people here and be able to make sure everyone gets on the racetrack. But for now, the fast group in Senior Light and the Mark Steele Motorsports Bureau Arts were the first 3 released, and they have not necessarily spread apart all too much. They were released right on time, but Henry Wheeler, this is a prime lap here. His first lap might go quickly and decisively to the top as he starts to reel in the number 41 of Ian Quinn, I believe. So this could be a huge lap for Henry Wheeler. Look how much he's going to close up the hill. He was 4 car lengths away. He'll get right to the rear bumper. Sorry, not Ian Quinn, my mistake. That is a different one of the Mark Steele Motorsports entries. That is the 42.
There it is. We passed it. Ian Quinn.
No, Ian Quinn in the 97.
Oh,
my
I'm
mistake
sorry. I'm
there. That
looking
was
at 42.
Yeah, no, looking for the correct number there. My apologies on that one. Again, there's that just goes to show the Mark Steele operation has continued to blossom and grow and get more drivers that I'm confused up here. So, but Henry Wheeler, I know for sure in the number 0 is going to have a big run towards the end of this lap. Let's see how good it is. Is it enough for pole right off the bat? No, but Ian Quinn further back, he's actually 3rd in line on the 97.
Gaffara.
And Caleb Gaffara even better.
Yeah.
So Gaffara, Quinn, and then Henry Wheeler's opening time puts him 6th. And it was another lap. There's Paulie Massimino jumping up into the top 5. Hudson Brown on the gold card into 6th now with a big lap for him.
Colin Warren not having a good weekend.
No,
hopefully we'll see him come back. Right now he's in that 10th position, which is not bad considering everybody, the names that are here. But Colin is one of the guys you got to keep your eye on, that he will figure something out, and I guarantee he will be up there. Right now, you got to give credit to Caleb Gaffara turning a 01.748 to get that pole position. Last week, I think he was in Great Britain running the Formula cars and did a good job there. Coming here this week, he's even got his grandparents here watching him. And so great run by Gaffara.
He's in a great spot again. Check this lap. He's right behind James Overbeck.
Oh.
And it wasn't good enough to go better, but it was close. That would have still been pole at a 101.84, but he's 2/10 clear. Also, update, my mistake, and apologies to Dan and Gavin Isaacs. That was Gavin Isaacs I was calling. He's actually the 412, is why we couldn't find the 42 or the 41. 412 Steele Motorsports entry. He was the quickest in Senior Light at the end of yesterday. Then he let out Henry Wheeler and Ian Quinn. They were 1, 2, 3 in the final practice.
Wow.
That's why they were the first 3 on the racetrack. Quinn benefited on his opening lap, went to 2nd. Wheeler has dropped to the 8th spot. And Gavin Isaacs, leading them around, is actually not even in the top 10 yet. But there's still 2 laps to go. As you see, Gaffara close right up to the rear bumper of James Overbeck. And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe instead of passing, he just drags the brake this lap, backs off. And resets for another big leapfrog run. As you can see in front of them, they have swapped spots. The Steele Motorsports 3 Bureau Arts have played leapfrog once again. Now Ian Quinn will go to the helm of them, and he will not go quicker on that lap. Wheeler will go by. Sadly, that's going to hurt Gavin Isaacs' chances now on lap 4. This is the final lap, but what a mega lap for Gaffara and Overbeck. They just went with a big gap over the rest of the field.
I mean, Gaffara driving excellent out there. Now he got in front of Overbeck. Not that he needed to. He's still sitting on the pole with the 1.622. Overbeck made it up into the outside pole with a 1.906. Quinn in 3rd with a 1.967. Owen Lloyd in 4th. Man, Lloyd coming back up there, and he's up there. And
talking about some big names further back, how about Brandon Jarczyk down in 16th? Eli Warren 17th. I mean, Kelvin Shing was in the top 5 at Charlotte. He's down in 21st. So there are some heavy hitters that right now are banking on a big lap on the final lap to try and go better.
Colin Warren all the way back in 10th.
Yeah, Amundsen in 9th.
Mo,
Elmer Edmondson, Mo down there as well.
Henry Wheeler in 8th. Lawler, well, he qualified in the middle pack. He's up
his lap time still holding.
Good. Yeah, he's in 7th.
Yeah, Will Lawler's lap holding on strong. Owen Lloyd's holding lap strong. There's a big lap from B-Jars. He'll go to 5th. Big lap for Brandon Jarczyk to go into the top 5. Josie Chambers with a lap as well to crack the top 10. Young Josie, another one of those young drivers here, moving up from junior to senior. Rookie in the top 10 right now. Hudson Brown's last lap will not improve. It will only be an improvement for Jarsakrak and Chambers to shake the top 10 up. But top of the boards, Caleb G by 2.5 tenths on the MGM.
You got to give that kid credit. Comes here, jumps in the MGM. He's got that thing working, and he's sitting on the pole. Overbeck, always somebody you got to, he's
of course, yeah.
I mean, but we got people like you're saying. You went back all the way past top 10 that –
yeah, check this out. Colin Warren's last lap,
now
no better.
He's at 12th.
Down to 12th. Christopher McKeithen, our medium champion, 13th. Down there. How about some other big names that were struggling? Gavin Isaacs towed Ian Quinn and Henry Wheeler around. Didn't get a clean lap himself. He ends up 25th out of the fast group of the 56 in total that turned times here in qualifying. But a big lap for Caleb Gaffera, and I was able to brag a little bit on Bryce Frank, as well as Caleb Vieska. Caleb's also worked for us now. Okay. He joined us and helped out. Last second, he was looking for a job at the U.S. Pro Kart Series event at Trackhouse, his home track in North Carolina. And, one of my camera guys' flight got canceled and couldn't make it in. So we were like, Caleb, we got a spot for you. We need it. And he did a great job there that weekend working the camera. He was all the way back in the weeds in the bowl down there. And he mustered the elements through all the weekend. And, I can't say I can take responsibility for his success here this weekend, but it is cool to say that the Pull Award winner in Senior Light also helping put on these broadcasts for all of you watching along here in the paddock and at home. And I tell everyone that asks me about some of the things that I'm most proud of our progress here in Kart Chaser in the short time that we've been around the sport. And it's being able to have such awesome, kids in the sport, really, from 16, 17, 18, all the way up, and all just wanting to say, get me to the track. I may not be driving this weekend. Let me help out. You see it through the paddock, right? Plenty of drivers here this weekend helping out friends, getting gigs to go and mechanic and wrench and getting involved. And for, a generation of my age and below that's known for looking at our phones and nothing else, to see hardworking kids not just be interested in driving but being a part of the sport is something that I'm very, very proud of that we've got here, and Caleb is another one of those.
Right. Now, you did. I mentioned earlier while you weren't here that Kart Chaser, by having these people do it, that's what makes it so good. I mean, you can't just bring somebody that never raced, or these are people that raced, and they're racing today. So they can really give us that insight that we don't have, like I don't have anymore. I'm not out there on the track. I mean, I hear from drivers and stuff. But when you talk to these people or your people, Kart Chaser people, and even you giving us about the track and the traction and the different Rhino liners and all of that, it just makes it so much better for everybody out there listening. It also makes it good for them because it can make them faster.
It does. It does. It educates. It helps. And, hey, if you're watching, hopefully you learned something. It's, no,
71.
A spin off the bat
31.
there. The 71 to the 31.
Spencer Height again.
That was our fastest kid kart from practice.
Right. He's always been fast. He's one of our champions. He's a top driver.
He does spin a lot, though. He's on the edge all the time.
Well, that's where you're fast.
Yeah.
Luckily, he's got 4 laps. They'll have to let the field go through, but he should get at least 3 ones.
If they can get him on, right.
If they can push him back on the racetrack. The weeds there a little bit off the racetrack for Spencer Height. While they're beginning their first laps here, why don't we continue that? For those watching along, let's give a little love here. I mentioned, like I said, it's a team of racers. Well, down at turn number 1, if we can get a shot down at our cameraman down at turn number 1, that is Rocco Ruzic. He is racing Spec Miatas. Here's his angle that he's showing right now. Spec Miatas. He's raced Briggs 206. He's raced K100. Hails from Houston, Texas. He's been a part of our crew for about 2 years. Up at the top of the hill, down at turn number 3, my teammate in the couple races I've done this year with the Texas Sprint Racing Series. His camera shots right here is Jake Faulkner. He's been racing nationals and regionals and club racing for quite some time. He's still active racing as well. And in the back section of the racetrack working for us is Gene Reyes, who was a heartthrob story from while I wasn't in town at the CKNA Spring Nationals in Charlotte. We were also doing the broadcast for the Ryan Norberg Invitational in Orlando Kart Center. And this is Gene's shot down here in the hairpin. He spent all of his time before working for us, working for different race series through the Winter Championship to save the money up to race the Norberg Invitational. And then, of course, in the production booth here, of course, myself, Trevor Blue, Simon Sykes, the reigning USF 2000 champion from the road to Indy, and down on pit lane, helping gather all the drivers together for pit lane interviews, is Marcelo Sanchez Lara. His older brother Massimo's worked for us as well. They run a team down in Texas also. So it's all racers on our crew. We're all happy to be here. And Marcelo's already got our first driver with us to chat with while we keep an eye on Kid Kart Qualifying. And it's Caleb G. Caleb, good morning to you down there. And talk me through that qualifying session. Looked like you ended up in a really good spot from the opening lap on. Couple burners. You had 2 laps that would have kept kept you on pole. Talk about it. Uh-oh. Here, hold on. Let's make sure we got Caleb's mic on. There we go. We got you now, Caleb. Go ahead.
So it was a pretty good session. I was behind James at the start. I started catching him. I ran him down, and then I passed him in a turn 2 and was running down right there with Gavin and pretty much ran the exact same time on the last lap. So it was a good quality session. I think I put like about 3/10 on the field, and hopefully we can keep that up in the races today.
Now, this is the first time we've gotten to talk to you since you have started this foray with Paul Rice at MGM this year. Obviously, that's from your neck of the woods over in North Carolina working with Paul. But what's the atmosphere been like, and how fun has it been to be able to go to all these major 206 events and work with the MGM crew?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I love hanging out with Paul. I've always been on the team. I used to run in the cadets class years ago and came back to it. So having a good time, and I'll see y'all at Grants as well.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing there, but as Tony DeToe mentioned here, we still got to focus on Pittsburgh. So you got 2 heat races and a main event. Good luck, Caleb, here. We'll get back over to Kid Kart Qualifying. Well, that's the first of the interviews that we'll have. We'll talk with a lot of our top qualifiers and drivers throughout the day today. And right now, after his spin, pushing the limits, like you said, Dave Mack, not phased at all. Spencer Height, fastest.
Wow, what a comeback by Spencer Height, being off the track, not going to get as many laps as everybody else, but it only takes 1 lap. So that's the whole thing. It doesn't matter how many laps you got out there. It takes that 1 lap to get that qualifying position. He turns an 18.542. DeSantos with a 27.26. You see the gap. Kip Knaus, happy to have Chad Knaus here in his
name,
yeah,
right? The next generation.
And he's at a 21.035, but putting his kid in kid kart, so he's serious about getting his kid into racing.
You know, the thing about Kip, he raced with us at Daytona, Daytona International. And it was his first race, and he was just playing not that fast. So they found something. They learned something. They paid attention, and Kip is running very fast this weekend so far.
Well, you don't win 7 NASCAR Cup titles in a short span or 5 in a row without knowing how to make a go-kart or vehicle go pretty fast. So I'm sure Chad is having a lot of fun. But I will say one thing that's always so fun to hear from these next-generation parents now and former drivers, crew chiefs, and we've got so many of them that we get to see come up through the ranks, is how little their kids like to listen to them. Because, yes, to all of us, we think of Chad Knaus as the championship-winning crew chief, and now one of the
we're going to listen.
Motorsport. We're going to listen to everything he says. Kip's going to be like, yeah, okay, Dad, whatever you say, right?
Yes, exactly.
But and that's the same across the board. You hear from team owners when they have their kids go and race. Driver coaches, the same. Like Alan Rudolph's a great example. His son Aiden not here this weekend, but has been racing quite a bit, and probably someone we'll see at the Grands with CRG near the front of the senior, medium, and light fields. I remember when Aiden was in cadet, Alan actually wrote an article. A little bit of
what's going on?
I don't know. Kip's getting his elbows out.
I'm not sure what that was all about.
But Alan was saying back when Aiden would be 11 or 12 years old and Minnie, he'd try to say, hey, go follow this fast guy, go follow that guy. And Aiden would be like, yeah, no, Dad, I'm going to go follow my friend. I'm going to go do this. And Alan is thinking to himself, I've got customers paying for my years of experience in coaching, paying me, and I'm trying to give it to my kid for free, and he won't take it.
I think Kip is trying to warm up his tires, which he doesn't need to do.
That's what it looks like. I have never seen anything like that.
I think his dad might have told him, hey, make sure you get your tires warm, but not during the qualifying.
No, not during the last lap of the session here. The tires should be warming up.
Yeah, right.
Whatever he's doing, he's still third, but unfortunately, he's right in front of Logan Height, who was the quickest so far. And, that was a big slide there for Kip in turn number 10. Logan's just trying to tiptoe around him. Logan's got 2 seconds up with his earlier laps. Spencer Height.
Spencer's trying to get around him.
He finally found a roll to the outside and is able to get by Kip there aboard the Nitro Kid Kart. But, Kid Kart, and to be honest, sometimes the Masters classes end up being the most unpredictable because you just never know what's going to happen, and the race could be tame. The quali session right now, they're all spread out, looked really tame, and then you look away for a second and you go, whoa, it just all of a sudden unraveled. So, Spencer Height, Lucas Dos Santos splits him and Kip Knaus up. Lucas ends up second, Kip Knaus third, Jackson Jorda fourth, Sebastian Taraju in 5th, and Sofia Mendoza in 6th.
Now, it's funny because Mendoza was really fast in Baltimore. Remember? I think she won it. Yeah, Sophia. Yeah, Mendoza was very fast in Baltimore, but we had rain the whole weekend, and that changed conditions totally. So she might be a good driver in the bad weather.
The entire field out there, their fast lap was their first lap, with the exception of Jackson Jorda. So that was kind of interesting. I'm dying to find out. I got to go to the pits later and find out what was going on with Kip, though. I've never seen anything like that.
I think somebody might have told him you got to warm up your tires, but he didn't realize you don't warm them up. You warm them up on that first lap maybe, but not through the whole deal. So.
No, not necessarily, for sure. Sportsman Qualifying next up, one of our 2 cadet categories. Jamison Sanders, Addison Haydu, Jordan Polchlopik, Ari Eberhardt, Trace Rosinski, Nicholas Mose, Sawyer Chambers, Preston Fisher, Colby Hoggard, Parker Firestein, Griffin Vukic, and Silas Root will be the 12 drivers that will head out. Looks like Nicholas Mose and Sawyer Chambers will be the first 2 to lead us out after being quickest on Friday happy hour. There's Sawyer waving to the camera over to Rocco down in turn number 1. Having a good time. Good morning to you too, Sawyer, from all of us over here in the booth and the rest of our kids. And the atmosphere here, amidst all the heat and humidity and everything, seeing smiles and kids in good spirits like that is what this sport's all about, and what we love so much of getting to come to Cup Karts North America events and the family atmosphere that has been steadily, I wouldn't say controlled, but kept through the meteoric growth of this series and this program. As you mentioned, it has elevated 206 racing to unprecedented levels over the last few years with the competition, the influence of different chassis wanting to get involved, different teams and just engine builders and more getting into the game. Right. More people in makes it more competitive, and yet still you can walk the grounds at night, and there's campers and independent 10x10 and 10x10 20s, and you can feel the atmosphere of what karting really is all about. And yes, we love getting out on the racetrack and competing, but we also love meeting the friends and family that we do along the way.
Right, and 206, like we said, and I mean, CKNA has brought this out there. And what CKNA tries to do is try to keep the price as best they can. I mean, we control the tires, right? We control the fuel. There's things that they can control. There's other things they can't control, but they try their best to make it, I'm going to say, economical for more people to get involved. And then as last year's Grand National and Spring Nationals, 500 entries, shows you that there are a lot of people getting involved in the sport and moving up to that next level, coming from the local tracks that are pushing the 206 classes and getting their drivers to compete on a national level. And here we are with the first Summer National at Pittsburgh International Raceway, Cup Kart's first one in the 2024 season.
And Greg and Steve have said from day one, the original owners have said from day one, they want this to be a pass-through class or a pass-through group, pass-through series. You learn your skills and you move on, and a lot of people do, but there's a number of people that don't. They stick right here and they're perfectly happy with it.
Yeah, or again, they keep doing both, right? As they move on, right? I mean, how about those star-studded names we had back at Charlotte, like Connor Zilish and Brent Cruz coming back and joining?
Gaffara.
Caleb Gaffara as well. I mean, all of the, at the end of the day, competition is the best way to sharpen metal, right? And when you still have big fields and, it's like a domino or snowball effect. Last year, Coyote comes out with all-stars like Paulie Massimino, Brandon Jarstrak has been around for a while, James Overbeck and McKeithen. And then to answer the call, Paul Rice links up and says, Caleb, we're going Briggs Racing as well. Find some holes. We got to get MGM up in the mix. Owen Lloyd, let's get you going as well here. Let's get you in all 3 classes, right? And the list just goes on and on of all the superstars here. But like you said, it's a great development platform from the clubs, and then your first foray into travel series racing with all of the different CKNA divisionals that have been launched. And, that's been, yes, we've added the Summer Nationals this year, added the Spring Nationals a couple years back, added the Winter Nationals last year. But the big growth about CKNA, the growth of the brand, is all these new divisionals. Tony, of course, you know it. I mean, and you opened the doors to over 100 entries, right, at the very first Northeast event.
Right. And I thank Greg and Steve at the time for, listening to me and saying, hey, I think we called it the Northeast, but we're just going to call it the East
now
series, that there's a place for CKNA there, and then we can attract a number of karters. I never thought it would be what it would be as far as having 120 entries on our first race, but, thanking all the karters that supported it, and now coming to Pitt. Last year at Pitt, we had 182 for our divisional, so the East really proved itself that there is a lot of 206 racers here, and we're trying to keep the travel down. But it's the road to the Grand Nationals. That's what it's all about, and that's why I love Pitt because I said it is a forerunner. If you can run at Pitt, you got a good shot at running at the Grand Nationals, or you've gotten the experience that will pull you into the Grand Nationals. So, you know, CKNA does it again, and that's what a lot of people got to remember. CKNA just doesn't run 4 races a year.
No. No, I'm here to tell you, I know that
right?
very well.
Dave knows. Dave goes to all. They don't run just 4 races a year, and I know there's other organizations that do good jobs, but they run maybe 4 or 5. I don't know, but they don't run what CKNA runs. They're in the you know, the North Series, the South Series, the East Series, and Canada.
Yep.
So they got a lot going on and a lot of balancing and trying to have the right people. And like I said, at this race, they got an enormous amount of officials out there.
Yeah. Well, I was telling somebody earlier today, in the month of, what are we, currently June? I've been so busy, I've been home 14 hours.
Right.
14 total hours this month. Yeah, we just came back from Montreal, Canada, a few days ago, and now we're in Pittsburgh, and I can't even remember where I'm going. Well, I know next weekend I'm off.
Oh,
for the first time in like forever. Yeah,
You got a weekend at home. What are you going to do with yourself, Dave?
I hate to tell you, but I'm looking at other series, going to watch a race.
Yeah, well, there is quite a bit, of course, for all of our Kart Chaser viewers right now. We've got 2 races going right now. We've got this weekend here at Pittsburgh for the CKNA Summer Nationals. Also have the opening of the 2 rounds of the Rotax Trophy East series over at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. Our national tour was there last week as well with the SCUSA Pro Tour. And this weekend is the first of 2 weekends where everyone's competing to get a ticket to the Rotax Grand Finals, where you have to race in your country and then you represent your country with an all-American suit. You know, no matter what class you run, what tracks you run, if you're an American, when that race comes up at the end of the year, you're rooting for all of our guys on Team USA. And there's a bunch of them that are racing over in Cincinnati. And then next week, talking about races to go to, well, we've got 2 of them we're covering, along with plenty others going all across the country. The U.S. Pro Kart Series invades Badger Kart Club for the first time in 11 years. Returns back to an old-school historic club track in Badger, Wisconsin. And if you want some oval racing, we've also got the Maxxis Dirt Race, the Stars and Stripes race down in South Georgia. Next week we'll be streaming as well. Then after that, we go to July 4th weekend, Route 66 at Whiteland, and the list goes on. We've got a busy calendar, and it'll take the whole broadcast up. So let's go back to our sportsmen's here, and top of the board, Sawyer Chambers from that second lap, well clear, 3.5 tenths. Nicholas Mose in second, Jamison Sanders third, Addison Haydu fourth, Preston Fisher fifth. Final few coming across the line. That was Trace Rosinski there crossing. 7th for Trace. Griffin Vukic will be one of the last to cross, and he jumps to 3rd there from 6th. Good lap at the end for Griffin.
Yeah, what a run by Vukovic. I'm sorry. Holds all the way up to 3rd. Sanders gets 4th. Hadu 5th. Fisher in 6th. Rosinski in 7th. Eberhardt in 8th. And Pulchapek 9th. And Hogarth in 10th. Those are your top 10 drivers. But Sawyer Chambers is the man to beat right now with a 04.427, number 145.
Yeah, and by a good bit, him and Nicholas Mose, again, still top 2. They swap spots from where they ended Friday happy hour. Was Nicholas quickest then, Sawyer second. And the 2 of them do have some big gaps between them. Again, 3 tenths from Sawyer to Nick. Nick, another 3.5 back to, but then from Griffin Vukic back, it's actually pretty close. Couple of tenths from 3rd to about market at maybe 6th place in Preston Fisher. So the midfield could be very interesting in that sportsman class when they go racing later today. But it'll be seeing if they can all just latch on to the rear bumper of Sawyer Chambers and keep him close to battle for the race win there.
You see the CKNA officials handing out the bottles of water, as Greg promised, to each driver as they come up to the scales, and that is really a nice thing to do for them. And this way, everybody gets a bottle of water, so if you want to say it adds to their weight or whatever, everybody's got it.
That's Megan Olds right there.
Yeah,
that's our series director. I believe that's her official title. Yeah, Megan Olds. She does everything. I mean, anybody needs anything, you go talk to Megan.
Well, that's good, because for a moment I thought she was hanging out some pink slips there that were some penalty forms. And then I was going to say, well, if you have any problems, definitely go straight to Megan. She's gonna come back here and kick my butt for saying that. But yeah, if anyone's listening along and if Megan could hear, if you have a problem, don't yell at Greg, don't yell at go find Megan.
Yeah, right.
No. In all seriousness, again, the CKNA officials, there's plenty of guys in the gray and orange shirts all around the property. If you have any questions, folks,
And as well, Ashley Graff managing the social media is always super attentive. If you want to just pop a message to the official Facebook or Instagram pages, and she can get you sorted with any questions or answers you may have as well. Now, we go from some of the young guns to some of the wily veterans here, folks. We've got our masters on the racetrack.
Logan just pulled out to the track.
Yeah, Logan
Dr.
Weigel.
Todd Barron.
And
Yeah,
Todd Barron.
Logan was pumped up yesterday. One of the many pit race locals here coming out to race at the Summer Nationals to go quickest over the likes of Todd Barron, who has won more than he has lost, it feels like, over the last 2 years of CKNA Nats and CKNA Regionals. He shows up on the entry list. Everybody's on notice in Masters and Legends.
Oh, yeah. And, so it's good to see the locals here. And in this case, one of the locals pulling out first for their time trials. And that is really good, and we thank Dan Slosser. He's the guy that runs the local club here, and he's helped a lot with helping me a lot organize this thing last year and this year again, and trying to get his drivers to run this series. So we'll see what happens here.
Let's go side by side here down to pit lane. We watched as the first lap gets underway. For our Masters drivers, Todd Barron closing up to Logan Weigel. Let's hear from the younger superstars. How about it for Sawyer Chambers? Sawyer, we see you down on pit lane. We saw you waving to us as well, Sawyer. And, well, let's go down and chat with you first and foremost. Thanks for being in such good spirits and waving to the camera. But how about that lap, man, talking about qualifying? Oh, hang on. We got to make sure that mic's turned on. Marcella's going to give Sawyer a little hand. Sawyer, can we hear you now?
Okay.
There we go. We got you now.
I mean, I put them all into that lap, and I got the best lap, I guess. I don't know.
Well, a bit of a shrug. Now, that said, Sawyer, you've obviously had a full day of practice here. So how much of a pack race do you expect? When you have 3 tenths, most tracks you can break away, but do you think Nicholas and some of the class can kind of keep you in? Because we got some long straightaways here at Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I might be able to pull away, yeah.
We'll see. Who would you like to thank for all the help here to make it happen to go so fast this weekend?
My mom and my dad and my grandpa and my nanny.
Awesome. Sawyer, congratulations on the pole award in Sportsman, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Once again, that was Sawyer Chambers, our top qualifier in the Sportsman category. And, well, you know, first, I believe that's our first Kart Chaser interview with Sawyer. I think he did a good job for his first time on the mic. Don't you, boys?
You know, that's so funny. Every time I try to do an interview with somebody and you try to give them complete softball questions, and we just experienced it. I was almost expecting that, yes, nod my head, yes or no.
Well, yeah, I broke my own first rule of interviewing. That's never give an either or yes-no question, right? And I was asking him whether or not he could break away. So that was also my mistake. I didn't help him out there. I could have done a better job, but I'm sure as well, guys that love to talk and love to race, we'll see if we maybe can't get a hold of some of our Masters top drivers after their session when they roll through, and the rest of our senior classes that are still to come with, I believe, senior medium is the last class on the lineup, and they'll have 3 groups as well to go through for qualifying. So this is the first of our final 4 qualifying sessions. You can see on your screen Todd Barron has quickly closed up to Logan Weigel. This second lap should be pretty good for Todd, but then he'll need to make a pass probably. It will be, no, he ended up having to back off on that lap, so no better. He stays 4th, Weigel 5th. Quickest is Eric Fagan in the 175, further back on the racetrack. John Price is the Coyote that we're following. He is 2nd, but Fagan is 4 tenths clear of everybody right now, folks.
Right, Fagan, no surprise. Fagan up front. John Price, an Eastern champion from last year, running in that 2nd position. J.D. Gunn out of Camp Chaos there, doing a great job up into 3rd. Ryan Sporowski in 4th. Jason Zobque, also Coyote driver from way back, coming here to this national race, up into the top 5. And look at Todd Barron, back in 6th. I mean, he's a guy that we would have just assumed he's at the front of the pack, so he's got his work cut out for him in this race. Ron Cleese in 7th, Logan Weigel in 8th, Drew Cirillo in 9th, Joshua Smoker. As we mentioned, Smoker was a pitcher for the New York Mets. So it's my hometown there back in Queens and New York and stuff. So hopefully we'll see how much better Josh Smoker could do. But Eric Fagan, no surprise, goes to the front of the pack with a 3.944. And he's the only one to break into that 3-second bracket right now. Price has got a 4.182. J.D. Gunn with a 4.667. Ryan Sporowski with a 4.702. And Jason Zopke with a 4.755. What a run by Zopke, though, a guy that hardly ever races. He was a racer many years ago, back when I raced, and he shows up here today, and he's in the top 5.
And I want to say, while we were going through the times there, for folks that were watching the cameras, Eric Fagan just carved through 3 guys and still went faster.
Yep. Right.
63.88 that lap. He had to pass one coming out of the back right hairpin in turn 13. Got the better exit, got one of them, drafted up, passed the next one before the bus stop, then set them up high and low coming out of the bus stop to the line, and passed the third one. He just went through a pack and still went faster, making up for what he might have lost fighting through traffic. Now, this lap by himself, without anyone in front to give a little bit of a tow, maybe a bit slower, but the gap is still pretty good. John Price, we saw him all by his lonesome on the Coyote. He's still second, and he will go no better as his 4th lap just came by. Todd Barron as well. He improves on the 4th lap, but it's no better than 5th.
Yeah. So, like I said, we expected, Todd Barron to be up there. Fagan, no problem, and he's on the MGM. So he puts that Iron Man colors right up front. No surprise, though, with Fagan. He's been a champion many times over in the CKNA races for years, and right now he puts it up at the front. John Price, like I said, when we called it Northeast Championship, he was our Northeast champion. So he's done a good job in representing the East Series, putting his kart in that 2nd place. And Zopke, look at Zopke moving up to 3rd. A guy that, like I said, hasn't raced, comes here in his Coyote, and he gets 3rd place. What a run by Zopke. So J.D. Gunn drops to 5th, which he was up there for a while. Todd Barron in 6th. Unbelievable.
Yeah, how about that? So our Masters class could get really interesting here, but they're going to need to hang on and hope that Eric Fagan's pace slows down at some point. It's MGM now at the top of Senior Light and Masters. And they've got another shot because we know that Owen Lloyd coming up in Senior Medium. So it's not done. But, again, the final 2 of our, what I would call our doubleheader headline classes in Senior Light and Senior Medium, and nearly 60 drivers is still yet to go green here. And we know there are going to be 3 groups because there is a total of 55 on the entry list. So that also probably factored in a little bit on that race select score. 58 in Senior Light, 55 in Senior Medium.
Right.
Couple more.
That's what gave the Senior Light the more.
Might have been. I don't know. Again, Keith was very adamant that, again, look, he's using this for fun, to be able to call the stats of the races. At the end of the day, when you try to rank drivers and do it, I mean, no matter what you do, no one's happy unless they're ranked number 1. Keith said, or John Seglin was in the comment section, the owner of PPK. He's like, Keith, all right, you got the stats. Can you release the driver ranking list and send us the top 25? Keith's like, there's going to be 24 unhappy guys and 1 happy guy.
Exactly.
So I'm going to keep that to myself, but I'm going to keep enjoying watching the stats and trying to, again, get a great read because, now there's so many races that are put on by different traveling series that are say, well, this is a national, this is a regional, this is a major, this isn't. Well, how do you say, well, this really is at least as competitive as it is? There's prestige, there's all kinds of factors that go in, but when you can say, I won the highest race select ranked event, I mean, that's a pretty big feather in the cap because nobody can, deny any stats, just like you can't deny lap times.
Right. So that was really good that I was surprised when I saw that post, and I really liked it.
Yeah, super cool. And again, a great testament to, like we've been saying, 206. It's the baseline for our sport. It's the beginning for so many in our sport. But also at the CKNA Nationals, it is one of the majors of our sport as well. And it's such a pleasure to be able to bring you guys all the coverage. And again, we are just beginning with lap times. This will be the final 3 time sessions for the day, and then we're going racing. 2 full rounds of heat races, a full afternoon. Get yourself some popcorn, some Gatorade, some sodas, and line yourself with a nice comfy place on the couch because we're going to bring you all the action from the heat here in Pittsburgh from now till about 6 o'clock at night or so Eastern time. So there's just and then again, tomorrow morning, warm-ups for the LCQ groups. You'll actually get to watch the last chance qualifiers for free. We'll keep the full warm-up stream going for free viewing, and then it'll be back to KC Premium members for the main events. Many of you have been joining already. Again, this is not only the last of our qualifying sessions, but after the final session for Senior Medium is wrapped, we'll be live exclusively to Premium members. That's that join button down below. And if you're just joining or telling your friends and family, like I mentioned earlier, do it when you first sign up on a computer or an Android. Don't do it on an iOS or Apple device. They tack on extra fees. Doesn't help us at all, as much as we would appreciate more support, and any tips are always open for everyone at the racetrack, right? But no, save yourself the money. If it shows you $12.99, get on a computer or Android, you'll see the $9.99 price.
Right.
Sign up that way, then you can log back in afterwards and watch anything you want to watch.
Right.
Yeah, do it right now. Don't even waste your time. Do it right now. Take care of it. $9.99 for a whole month. Are you kidding me? Come on, just sign up right now.
Well, once you start watching this,
You don't want to quit.
you don't want to quit.
Yes.
So do it. Get it done before you're saying, "Hey, what's up next?" And then you realize you don't have a membership and you can't watch it. So yeah, get it done now while we're still qualifying.
That's been so funny to get to listen to parents in the paddock. They're like, yeah, I bought it or I started watching for free because my kid was in it. And now I find myself burning my Saturdays and Sundays and getting nothing done because even though my kid's not racing, I'm still watching.
Want to watch it?
So,
Sure.
and again, that's why we've seen such the growth in viewership. We were able to bring the Grands last year. We were able to up what the Grands eyeballs was massively. And I'm sure we're going to hit record new numbers this year as well. We hit a new record even just last weekend for the SCUSA Series on their Sunday, growing somewhere at 40 to 50% more eyes every time we turn the cameras on each year, which has been so awesome to bring kart racing to everyone to be able to watch. And, you know, the biggest point that we hear from all of the racers and families in the paddock is nobody understands how tough this sport is, how serious it is, how high level it all is. You know, you think of rental karts and fun karts and everything else, and now they finally have something to say, hey, you want to see what I'm doing? This is exactly what I'm doing here.
Right, and that's what Kart Chaser has brought to the sport. You know, I mentioned 206 and Briggs, what they brought to the sport, but Kart Chaser, when I first saw the first time of Kart Chaser coverage, like you said, can't stop watching it, but it also made me be able to tell other people, you want to see what we do? You want to see what it's really like? And even though some of these people make it look easy, they're really battling out there, and it's not as easy as they're really good, and that's what you're watching. But Kart Chaser, with the coverage, was just unbelievable. I mean, with the cameras and the interviews, it just made the whole sport. It was one thing back, 20 years ago, writing articles, and it was a magazine that people could read.
And you can get a picture, but you can't show the speed
you get a picture
or anything,
or something.
right? Like they're like, well, that looks a little different than
right,
the rental cart, but
right,
it looks kind of the same
right,
thing. And then you watch some of the cameras and go, wow, they're going pretty fast, and they're racing pretty hard, right? And I think the other cool shot, like you mentioned, Dave, earlier on of that interview cam, looking at the scale shot, whether they're first or last, everyone's got their game faces on when they're off the track because it's straight to the pits, pull the data off the Micron, look at the onboard camera if you got one, compare with anyone that watched you on the fence line and say, how can we go faster? There is such a science to it and so much hard work. And that's what makes the sport so great because it's fathers and sons and daughters and mothers all just working to problem solve and try to win together. You know, it's not like a stick and ball sport. You don't drop your son off here this weekend and then go, away for the day. No, you're there every inch, every failure, every loss, and every win, and that's what makes that interview shot, that scale shot, so sweet. When we see that tomorrow in the main events and we get some maybe first-time winners at this national level for CKNA, you'll see the emotion and how much it means and how hard all these families have worked, even for the podium or a first top 10 or new best lap. It all matters. And, well, let's go to best laps here as we're halfway in the senior medium session. Dave Mack, take us through our first few that have topped the boards so far here in qualifying with 2 laps down.
Well, the number 6, Brady Atwood, ran a 103.190 back on lap number 1. I see so many of these people running their fastest lap on the first one, but we've got Brady Atwood, Dylan Wiggin, Trenton Frederick, third fast, Chad Shedderly, and Huntington Bolton. So that's the top 5. Josh Stiefel, Bryce Frank, Justin Wishart, Jack DeLucci, and Peyton Klein are your top 10. But once again, a bunch of them, well, now they're starting to come in with faster laps. Brady Atwood, though, his third lap, he did turn purple again, 103.079.
Brady Atwood's a local Maryland racer and always fast. Wins a lot of races locally, and now he's running in, what is it, the third? This is the first.
The first of the 3
third,
groups.
right.
But I will say, I think he's got better chances of faring higher than the first group from the light class because in light, we saw them start at a 103 flat, get down to a 101.6. He's at a 103 flat, but they are 25 or 20 pounds heavier for the medium to light. Is that correct, Tony? Because it's, I think, 330, 350, 380, or 335, 350. I think it's 350 or maybe 60. No. It's around
Yeah.
Might be 330, 350, 380.
Right.
That
okay.
sounds right.
390 is the heavy.
90's heavy. So
Right.
390. So maybe it's 390, 360, 330.
Right.
Or
Okay.
335. So
But-
30, 35 pounds, 25 pounds even. I mean, we say 10 pounds and only a tenth to 2/10 of a second.
Right.
So marking that up, you're at least a couple tenths better than what the first group did in the light class. And maybe, you'll be a little closer to the times. I think from warm-up, the quick times were in the mid-102s. Massimino had a 102.4, if I believe correctly, to go quick there at the end, along with Overbeck and the like. So, they're closer to the warm-up times. New tires, we know we're going to pick up some speed, but a 103 flat's not bad. Bryce Frank, great last lap there. He'll jump up to second in the 17 MGM to a 103.81. But Brady Atwood, like you said, a 103 flat. You mentioned, again, wins a lot from Maryland. Well, that is probably one of the drivers that had maybe some mechanical misfortune that slowed his pace down and put him in the bottom third of Friday practice sessions, because putting 7/10 on the field, obviously that's good, but the reason why it feels so good here is you hope that your 7/10's clear and there's going to be a bunch of guys that fill up those 7/10 behind you. If you end up in a slow group and you go fastest, but you're only fastest by a half-tenth or a tenth, you're like, all right, I'm probably going to get beat by the entire fast group. But when you go 7/10 clear, you feel a little better.
Yeah, Justin Wisher all the way back in 8th.
Yeah, how about that, right? 8th in the
drive.
first of the three
group,
groups,
yeah.
right?
Group.
Justin Wishart back there.
Just something's not working.
Lloyd.
Oh, no, he didn't go
No,
out.
he hasn't gone out yet.
Okay.
So
Justin
we've got
Wishart a few years ago was unbeatable.
unbeatable.
Oh, my goodness, he was fast every single time.
It shows you how the competition changes, how the track conditions change, and how you got and then sometimes these people change chassis, and they're still getting accustomed to that new chassis. So there's a lot of things sometimes you'd have to go interview them to say what happened here,
I mean, things develop, right? I mean, everyone just gets better, and sometimes you go from a year ago, the times may slow down, but you'll have slowed down even more so. I remember talking to some of the really experienced veterans of the sport, and you ask them, like, I was good here last year. I was fast. Everything worked. Nothing's changed. They're like, dude, everything changes every year. Obviously, we're still on the Vega tire compound, but last year a regional, this year a national, more go-karts.
Right.
Temperatures different, conditions
Way
different.
different.
There's a reason why these guys are continuously developing chassis, continuously spending time in the engine room to maybe learn what works a little better in the newest iteration of 206 motors, or maybe find something they haven't found yet. I mean, we've talked about how close they all are, but when it's close, it's never perfect.
Right.
And you're always searching and
There's
hunting
always
for
more.
perfection. You can always drive better. You can always tune better. You can always find a little bit better chassis setup and air pressure and the like. You never stop finding more speed to go better. So first group, Brady Atwood, 103.079, time to beat in senior medium. And we're now into the middle group here. So judging by the first driver on the racetrack, or the first couple, looks to be the 13 machine is one of the first there. That's one of the AEM karting EOS karts. And I'll try to see where our group split begins. Looks like that is Jaden Krause, and I believe Colin Aitken up the road, and then Cale Zimmerman. So the cut line beginning at Cale Zimmerman, Colin Atkin, Jaden Krause, Addison Ianello, Aiden Atcher, AJ Roderick, team owner, Ronnie Kleiss. The list goes on, and this is the middle group, right? This isn't even the fast group, and you've got all these big names that have won races at home, at nationals, at regionals, across the board, and they find themselves in the middle of the grouping, hoping to get a good lap that will stand somewhere in the top 15.
Right.
Even, again, with the split groups, if you're top 20, you're starting in the top 10 for both of your heat races, and you can very easily fight for a heat race win from the top 10 first 5 rows.
Oh, yes. So that is just what's going on here, and like we said, the amount of competition, the racing that's going to happen here this weekend is just great for a national, and that's what CKNA brought out with this race. And we can't believe some of these names that are in the second group, but might have had some problems, might have had the wrong setup, and made changes, and we'll get to the top. Like I said, Brady Atwood, a local champion in his area, doing a lot of wins and stuff. For him to be running in that first group, kind of disappointing, but coming back and hopefully making it up. Like Xander said, if you could be in the top 20, you're doing good.
Oh, absolutely. And we're keen on Cale Zimmerman up there and Colin. They're both in VLRs.
Right.
Yeah, and they're running together, and we're just starting to get times here. Ronnie Kleiss comes across first. Fast time, Ronnie Kleiss, 103.017, followed by Colin Aiken, Brady Atwood, Jaden Krause, Aiden Hatcher, and Michael Robbins are your fast 6 so far.
That's right.
So Ronnie Kleiss, 103.017. They all got a little ways to go.
Right. Ronnie Kleiss right now is the person to beat with a 3:01.17. Colin Aiken, 3.044. And Brady Atwood, remember, he was in that first group, holding on to that third spot, as Xander said, 3.079. So not too bad. Jaden Krause in fourth.
Check out Ronnie Kleiss' track position, boys.
Yeah.
He is lined up behind the senior medium champion from last year, and he's going to get a little toe off the back. Or no, sorry, that is off of Jamie Bradford. Is that Jamie Bradford?
Yes.
In the 56? So he's lined up behind him. Sorry, I saw the same helmet for a second. I thought it might have been in Christopher McKeithen, but it's actually the 56 of Bradford that he's lined up behind. Is that right? Or is that A.J. Roderick with a different suit? It looks like the 56. That might be A.J. Roderick.
And Roderick, like I said, went over to Coyote.
I believe it is.
Yeah, that is A.J. Roderick. So the team owner goes up to 7th. But a big lap from Ronnie Kleiss, following in his footsteps and then leapfrogging a couple car lengths in the toe to catch up to him. Set a burner right there, 102.96. But like you said, Tony, that 103 flat from Brady Atwood, it's holding really nice right now in this middle group. Still third at the end of the second lap. Aiden Hatcher on the PPK Coyote jumping up the boards to 4th there in the 938. Michael Robbins to 5th, then Jaden Krause, then Roderick, Owen Mal here in this middle group, as well as Mason Rick and Presley Whitney. So the next from that first group was Bryce Frank. He's down in 12th. Right. But Atwood's still holding. Check this out. Colin Aiken had to make a pass last lap on Cale Zimmerman. That was his first lap leading the way, and unfortunately he could only match his pace, so he's going to wave Cale on by. Yep. And, that's a very smart move and a very nice move to fellow VLR driver to give him the full slipstream up the hill from turn 1 to turn 3 and then bail out knowing that he did not hit turn 1 good enough to go good on that last lap. So we won't see a good lap from Aitken. We might see a great lap from Cale Zimmerman.
And Zimmerman's already moved up to 5th. He was running back there and has moved up. And he's another one of our champions.
I thought he looked faster. Yeah, I was wondering what he was doing back there. Or low on the schedule there.
Yeah. So how about that for Cale Zimmerman? We're watching him all the way through. Ran it all the way wide there out of turn number 11. Next up, 12 and 13. Final 2 right-handers. Then over to the bus stop. He'll be the first one to the line. Looks like Colin Aiken's going to head for the scales. So he knew he wasn't going any better. He's going to bail out 1 lap early, race it into the scale line. Meanwhile, Zimmerman, can he go any better on this last lap? No. The same for Jaden Krause on the AEM Karting EOS kart. Jaden stays down in 7th. Here comes the rest of the pack. Addison Iannello, a big toe lap at the end. Not enough to move into the top 10, sadly. Aiden Hatcher crosses as well. No one improving at the end. Couple more still to go, though. It's not over for Owen Mal and Mason Rick, but it may be soon. Mal cannot improve. Rick looks like, with only 2 laps complete, he pulled in early.
Yep.
Here comes the last of this middle group across the line. Ryan Curtin, one of them. And Alex Greenswig, 14th. Iannello's last lap did jump her up a little. She moved up to 12th at a 103.3. And where does that bump Bryce Frank back to? 15th with a 103.8 from the first group on the racetrack. So he now sits 15th of the 37 who have run. But now, the biggest and names are ready to go. Senior medium, final group for qualifying. Let's list them all out here and be wowed by all the star power. Owen Lloyd, Chris Carroll, local kid Anthony DeCesaro, Ian Quinn, Will Lawler, who already was great having to fight from the slow group in light, gets to go in the fast group on his low-key racing Sodi here in medium. Chase Johnston, another local. Hudson Brown on the gold cart. Henry Wheeler, Dylan White, Christopher McKeithen, the reigning CKNA Grand National champion in his second senior season. James Overbeck, Massimino, Brandon Jarsakrak, Brady Eichhoff, Dylan Amundsen, Colin Warren, Eli Warren, and of course our senior light pole sitter Caleb Gaffera as well, getting set to go.
Right now we got Mark Steele. Steele Racing.
Hudson.
But Hudson's on, he was fastest, so he goes out first.
Yeah, so we'll take and watch the the gold cart head out onto the racetrack here. And I've noticed a couple more gold carts have showed up here to this weekend, Tony.
Hudson's been doing well on the gold cart, and some people are interested in it, and they've been taking care of them. Spa Speed has been supplying the gold carts here in the United States, and Hudson says it's really good. He loves it and doing a great job right now in this class anyway, but let's see how he fares. And, of course, the snap your neck engines, which also have been increasing in use when I did a count out there. But, like I said, this is the place where the kart people are here. The Coyotes, the MGMs, everybody, the engine builders, Lawson, Speed Shop. You just have all of these people coming to this race to prove that their product could be at the top. So it will be interesting to see what happens here in this medium, right?
Yeah,
yep,
the medium
senior
group.
medium.
Now, in the light class, we saw those Steel Motorsports Bureau Larts, Ian Quinn, Gavin Isaacs, and Henry Wheeler. They were first, second, third in happy hour, so they kind of got to work together a little bit in qualifying just by the nature of being released one after the other. We're watching Henry. He's in no man's land right now, all by himself in the number 0. No carts out back, no carts out front, trying to put a lap in. Henry Wheeler, where did his first lap stack him up? Actually, sorry, they're just on their first lap now. That was the end of the out lap, my mistake, for our senior medium qualifiers. So we'll get to see who quickly goes up the boards. And again, just as I mentioned back at that first session with Brady Atwood, they went from a 63 flat to a 61.6 in senior light. We have only gone from a 63 flat to a 62.9 in senior medium. Based on warm-up, you would estimate that pull time is going to be a mid-62, but that was also where they were allowed to push and work together because it was a practice session. So we may or may not, even with new Vega tires, might not go that fast, but it just depends. If you get lucky and you catch the guy in front of you just at the right time where he doesn't hold you up, you don't get close enough to have to hit the brakes and not push him or pass him, you get that little toe, it could make all the difference of starting first or starting 20th here in a class like this.
Right, and quickly, McKeithen goes to the front of the pack with an 0.2762. Ronnie Cleese, 0.2961. He was the guy to beat, but right now, McKeithen. And now, DeCesaro. He's a local.
Yes.
And up there.
Yeah, right up there. Great opening lap from Anthony. Dylan Amundsen, one of the last to cross the line. He'll go up. We're about to watch Gaffera and Eli Warren hit the line.
Everybody's moving down.
Gaffera to the top.
Gaffera goes to the top.
62.542, Caleb G. And he's hunting down Eli Warren in a lap or two. By the fourth or third lap, he might get a little bit of an extra boost with the draft. I wouldn't say he's in range right now, but also there's something to be said for a rabbit to chase, right, Tony?
Right. Yep, that's it. That's the other thing, right? Not only that you want to catch the draft, but you're chasing somebody and you just seem to sometimes push it a little harder. You try to reel them in, which makes you a little faster.
Well, let's give you a little bit of recent history. We have some kart chaser viewers that are definitely familiar with Caleb Gaffera.
Yep.
For those in the CKNA and 206 world or newer to the scene, this kid was the superstar in the two-stroke national championships, the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour and Winter Series in Supernats, and the U.S. Pro Kart Series 2 years ago with Rollison Performance Group. He won more than any other junior on the year, double-digit main event victories by the end of that season as he crosses the line for another lap. And then last year, moved up to senior, bounced around, made that foray into cars. He did the Skip Barber Formula Car Championship, went head-to-head against Sebastian Weldon, and a couple of mechanical woes gone different. He might have been the title winner and went straight to the USF Juniors on the road to IndyCar this year. Instead, he is still continuing on, finding sponsorship to race anything with four wheels, from across the pond in Formula cars to the Legends cars at the Summer Shootout at Charlotte, and then, of course, two-stroke and four-stroke action here. He is in the points in the OKN Stars Championship, the direct drive FIA class, and, of course, he's pole in senior light, and right now he's still pole in senior medium, but things are changing fast as we get the white flag. McKeithen sent it there in turn one, dropped a tire in the dirt, but still, his opening lap holding for second. Amundsen third. Colin Warren, we talked about him. A struggle weekend for Colin Warren.
But he's coming back. He's up in that fourth position. Owen Lloyd, no doubt he should be up there maybe better, but he's in fifth. Dylan White in sixth. The local.
DeCesaro, Kleiss, Overbeck, Aitken. And again, keep in mind, when we say a struggle weekend for Colin Warren, he was still in the top 15.
Yeah.
He was still 12th. It's just for Colin Warren standards, we're so used to seeing him top of the boards.
That's right.
But here he is, and look at this. Colin Warren, he's raced as well about any single engine that has come through karting in the last few years on a variety of different chassis, different tires. Yep. And he's my age as well. He's got some years on him. And in talking with him, what he loves the most about this lower horsepower 206 racing is the chess match aspect, where every race is out mental racing the other driver. Yes, the toe keeps us together, and you may not see a breakaway where the perfect chassis setup engine driver gets away. He loves this battle racing. He loves this side-by-side, close quarters action, and he loves the fact sometimes when he's not on the pole and he's got to put all that experience to the test. And sadly, I don't think he's going to get it. This is his last lap to try it. It will not go. A big lap from James Overbeck jumps him to third. A good lap from Dylan White to seventh. But Caleb Gaffera, in what we're calling our doubleheader main event of senior light and senior medium, is going to lead both classes to green in his heat races today.
Yeah, Caleb Gaffera, unbelievable what he's done. And you mentioned it, why drivers would come here and race a four-cycle slower kart. Here's Gaffera.
Yeah, right there. Test yourself against the best. You don't have to go and go over to Europe or go to the summer shootout or go to a two-stroke event. You can race him right here.
I mean, just what he did here today in qualifying in those two classes, which we were talking about the statistics and everything about it, Gaffera goes to the front. And what a job by Paul Rice to put him in an MGM and get that MGM up there, up front.
Yeah, I know. Talking with Paul, man, he was so bummed that they couldn't get any of the major, breakthroughs in the light of the medium class at the Grands, and he's like, dude, don't worry. We're going to go to work, and we're going to find a way to get the blue and green and black machines at the front. And, well, he's got Caleb Gaffera on pole, Owen Lloyd there in sixth on the South Georgia karting entry. Of course, still super strong out of those PPK Coyotes. Chris McKeithen, James Overbeck, second and third. Dylan Amundsen also aboard the MGM, fourth. Colin Warren, of course, VLR, TS Racing there in fifth. Dylan White, DeCesaro, Clyes, Colin Aitken. Now let's talk about really quickly before we go down to pit lane, the big names that ended up on the outside edge of the top 10. How about Brady Atwood, still hanging on to 12th. He ends up beating a lot of major ones. Ian Quinn, Massimino, 15th and 16th. Brandon Jarsakrak, 18th. Chris Carroll, 21st. Adrian Roderick, 22nd. Hudson Brown, 28.
Wow.
Long way to go forward for those guys and girls. But luckily, the heat races split up. Will make it a little bit easier to make some room forward.
Make some time, right.
At the same time, if you end up 20th in your heat, that's basically 40th overall. So you can't afford a mechanical failure. You can't afford a crash. You got to be smart. We know they're going to be fast. We know they're going to be intense. But the drivers got to keep their heads on because it's two shots to either punch your ticket safely into the main event tomorrow and potentially have a great starting spot to fight for the win, or two failed misses that puts you on the back foot and racing in the last chance qualifiers Sunday morning. So it is getting closer and closer to crunch time, folks. This concludes our free coverage here for the morning from qualifying and warm-ups on track. But let's go before it all wraps up and hear from some of our top qualifiers. Welcome and a good morning to you, Christopher McKeithen, our reigning CKNA Grand National Medium Champion. Chris, that qualifying session, second overall for you. How did it feel?
It felt really good. We ran in light, and we were all right. Just missing something on the setup, but yeah, I got a good toe on my lap one, and then pulled out P2.
And now let's talk about your guys' progression this year. How it has felt for you this year, as how successful your rookie season, your first year with PPK Coyote and senior last year was. Do you have a little more swagger walking around in the pits, or do you feel a little less nervous coming to these big races nowadays?
I mean, I think we earned our spot at the front end of the field last year, and I think we started off this year people started to catch up, other teams, and especially after the run we had at the CKNA Grands last year. But we got it back rolling now, and I think we're going to be right there this weekend.
Well, Chris, we're looking forward to watching you continue to battle, and at least you'll be leading one of the two heat groups to green in both of the races with a second overall and pulling the evens group. So wish you best of luck. We'll let you get some lunch in you, and we're looking forward to watching you in senior light and senior medium this afternoon.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, once again, folks, that was Christopher McKeithen from PPK Coyote, P2 here in senior medium qualifying. Caleb Gaffera in that group obviously will have to take a minute, but we talked to him earlier, so we'll take a moment and sign off the airwaves and then come back after the lunch break and probably talk to Caleb, I'm sure, a lot more this weekend if he keeps running the way that he is. We already heard from our medium pole sitter because he's our light pole sitter. The rest of our classes are set to go. Here's a look at the schedule for today, folks. We'll be back on the air in about 30 minutes at heat number 1, 12:45 p.m. Eastern, 9:45 a.m. Pacific. Then heat 2, it's straight on through. You'll run through all 9 classes in the heats 1 and then do another rotation in heat 2 to basically run us to about 6 or 5:30 p.m. local time here in Pittsburgh. But for Tony the Toe, Dave Mack, myself, Xander Clements, again, we'll go behind the KC Premium Members live stream subscription. Make sure if you do sign up or tell your friends and family, make sure you do it on an Android or computer. $9.99 a month on there. Apple tacks on some extra fees. Doesn't help us at all if you do it on an iOS device. But in any case, you're able to watch it there live on the premium subscription, or you can watch the full replays next Wednesday for free, and plenty of clips that we'll be posting all over our KC socials this afternoon. So there's your last chance on the free stuff. If nothing else, we'll see you tomorrow morning for free for warm-ups and last chance qualifiers.
All right. Thank you, Xander, and thanks, Kart Chaser, for doing this. And we hope that a lot of people do sign on to watch the heat races, which will start at 12:45 Eastern time. There's going to be some great racing here today and tomorrow. But today it's going to be who's going to make it up to the front, especially in the light and the medium classes.
No doubt about it. Dave Mack, any closing words?
Just to see who the best of the best is right here, right now, right this weekend.
Live from Pittsburgh, folks. We'll be back here in 30 minutes. So